It's the first day of summer, the longest day of the year. Perfect time to harken back on a simpler time when the Mets went last to first to the 7th game of the World Series. A time for a rookie to take another shot at increasing a historical run. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Oakland Athletics. Mets baseball is presented in HD by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. I'm Gary Cohen. Keith Hernandez joins me in just a moment as the Mets open a 3-game interleague series against the Oakland A's. Well, there's been so much conversation about Jose Reyes, his great season, and his impending free agent status. Sandy Alderson, Mets general manager, told reporters today that he reached out to Reyes' agent, Peter Greenberg, in the last few days to propose some in-season negotiations, and was told by Greenberg that Reyes' preference is that the Mets not negotiate with him during the season and that they wait until after the season. So the contract negotiations are on the back burner for Reyes. Reyes said today that he preferred to not have the distraction during the year. He just wants to concentrate on baseball.
Well, you know, a player only gets, one in every 6 years to be a free agent, and that's the time that you have the negotiating edge. And Jose has certainly put the chips on his side of the table with this spectacular season that he's having. And I cannot blame him for not wanting to negotiate. There's so much media here, so much more now than when I played, if you can believe that. And he wants to focus on the field, and that's understandable. The Mets understand it. The Mets reached out. I think Sandy was pretty explicit in saying that no matter Reyes is not one of those guys, if the team goes bad, that he's in the mix to be traded. Mets want him back. He's having an MVP caliber year.
No question about that. And now nobody has to really talk about the contract until the season is over, barring a trade, which it doesn't sound like is going to happen. So now the Oakland Athletics are in town after the Mets lost 2 out of 3 to the Angels. Oakland had been struggling badly, losing 13 out of 14, but they recently changed their manager, fired Bob Guerin, and brought in Bob Melvin, who was a candidate for the Mets job before they hired Terry Collins.
Well, like you said, they're coming off a sweep of the Giants back in the Bay Area, winning 5 in a row with a new manager. You know, flip a coin on how that goes. But of this Oakland team, who is they're offensively challenged, they're low in every offensive category: runs, home runs, batting average. But #1 ERA in the American League, and they've got a lot of their starters and their quality starters on the disabled list. A youngster right now for them is going to start tonight, Josh Outman, who's going to start his 6th game. It's kind of a patchwork rotation for the A's.
As for the Mets, they've been getting terrific starting pitching over the last month, and nobody better than Dylan Gee. 7-0 to start his first full season in the big leagues, and probably should have had an 8th win his last time out.
Well, in Atlanta, he had a 4-0 lead in the 4th when the rains came, and that ruined his day. Didn't get the 5 innings. He probably would have won that ball game and be looking for his 9th win tonight. But he has been spectacular. His ERA is well below 3, and in today's game, that is outstanding. He's looking to stay undefeated.
And Gee tries to lead the Mets to a victory against the A's tonight at Citi Field. All the action coming your way on SNY. TV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Dodge, built for people who love cars to drive fast, past people who don't care about cars at all. By the New York Lottery, get the feeling, play Powerball from the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. By Mazda, zoom zoom. By State Farm, today's State Farm agent of the day is Pat Cawley of Glendale. Contact Pat's office at patcawley.org. And by the Volkswagen Going Gone event. Great deals are here, but not for long. Visit VWDealer.com. Don't worry, everybody. Keith's okay. School is almost out and baseball is in. For $10, high school and college students with a valid school ID can enjoy a Mets game with their fellow classmates at Citi Field. For more information, visit Mets.com. I just figured people might be worried. Here's the Mets' upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. You can also listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. 3 with the A's, night game tomorrow, day game Thursday. Then the Mets are off for Arlington for 3 with the Rangers, and then to Detroit for 3 with the Tigers before they come home to play the Yankees. Then head out to the West Coast to finish off play before the All-Star break. Series beginning against the A's tonight. First pitch coming right up. Brought to you by Ford. Not a very well-known bunch except for Hideki Matsui, the former Yankee, who's going to play the outfield for the first time this year. And Dylan G starts the night, missing hot to Jameel Weeks for ball one.
Well, as we said, he missed his 8th win in Atlanta with the 4-0 lead, and you can see the numbers. They don't lie. He just kills left-handers. That 146 batting average. Great changeup, pitches up in the strike zone with his fastball up and in. Not just up, folks, and out of the strike zone.
Jamil Weeks, a switch hitter, came up 2 weeks ago as the younger brother of Ricky Weeks of the Brewers, and like his brother, he plays second base, and like his brother, a better offensive player than defensive player, and he has been so far. He's hitting .364 his first 2 weeks in the majors. And G, after falling behind 3-0, gets a fastball over.
And he's a lot slighter than his brother, that's for sure. He's probably a speedster for sure.
Cliff Pennington, I'll call him Chad at least once in this series. I know I will. Coco Crisp behind him. There's a strike to Weeks, and it's 3-2. Dylan G, 7-0. The Mets are 10-0 in the games that he has started this year. That is extraordinary. 3-2 to Jamil Weeks leading off, and it's inside ball 4. So G does something he rarely does and walks the leadoff hitter in the first inning.
And we'll take a look at the City Metropolitan defense, and you can see they've made errors in 3 straight games, and it's cost them too. They've been errors at critical junctures of the ball game, and that's Turner, I should say. And 2 of his errors have been throwing, but you know what? He's a second baseman, not really a third baseman. I think he's played brilliantly subbing for for David Wright and being out of position.
Here's Cliff Pennington, the switch hitting shortstop, hitting at .256. Better right hand hitter than left, just .237 from this side of the plate. And G struggling with his control early on. 1-0 to Pennington. You got 3 switch hitters in a row for the A's at the top of the order with Weeks, Pennington, and Coco Crisp. So that gives them a lot of flexibility, but it's an Oakland offense that is near the bottom in virtually every offensive category. Hideki Matsui hitting cleanup tonight. And Pennington takes a strike, 1-1.
Can't say that I've always loved the Oakland A's uniforms, and I love the colors, but with the gray pants and the yellow top, oh boy.
Well, wait till you see their pitcher Josh Outman tonight and the socks that he's sporting along with those gray pants. Changeup misses badly, and you rarely see that with G. Generally has such good command of that changeup, and it's 2-1. Well, there's where the A's rank. Last in the majors in home runs, second to last in the American League in virtually every other category. They're averaging just 3.6 runs per game.
The on-base percentage, that is dreadful.
Swinging a changeup at Paulino, trying to fake a throw, spikes the ball nowhere.
What was? Yeah, right.
No harm, but that was odd.
Did he think someone was going?
I think he was faking a throw behind the runner. Or
no, I think he thought the runner was running.
Well, Weeks had faked the start, but he was definitely not running.
You think you've seen it all?
Yeah, fortunately for him, the spiked throw went right to Jose Reyes. 2-2 now to Pennington. And Weeks, who has 2 steals and 4 tries, is back.
Well, it was a disappointing series against the Angels, and losing 2 out of 3 at home. A difficult road trip, a lot of late travel. They kind of came out flat the first game of that series, but California just whipped them in the rubber match.
There goes Weeks. The pitch is high. This time Paulino does throw, and he's safe. Weeks just got around the tag from Reyes on a throw into the runner, and Weeks has his 3rd steal.
Well, good throw by Paulino. One thing we've seen with Paulino getting more playing time, he's got a strong arm. He almost slid past the base. Boy, you just see so many head-first slides today. That's a great shot right there.
There's your Mercedes-Benz Ultramo, brought to you by your Tri-State dealers, on the web at searchmercedes.com. So a runner in scoring position with nobody out. G has gone 3 and 2 to each of the first 2 hitters. Oakland's won 5 in a row after losing 13 to 14. And there's ball 4. So G has walked the first 2 hitters of the night, and he calls out Paulino, and they're going to have a conversation before he goes after Coco Crisp.
Well, he's just not off to a good start here, and this is so unlike Dylan G, coming into the game with 66 innings pitched and only 22 walks. That's actually right there, 3 per game.
Well, the Mets starting pitching has been so good over such a long period of time, but in his last start we saw R.A. Dickey struggle. In his last start we saw John Neese struggle, and now an uneven start for G as he tries to get himself settled, facing the veteran Coco Crisp. Crisp hitting 3rd in the order for the 3rd straight game. Before these last couple of days, the last time he had hit third was 2005. So Bob Melvin shaking up his lineup a little bit as Chris shows bunt, takes ball one. Talking about G and his lack of control as Dan Warthen visits the mound. Before tonight, in his last 5 starts, G had walked a total of 6 batters, and now he's walked the first 2 and thrown ball 1 to Chris.
Well, normally I have the batting average here, doubles, home runs, RBI. Then the bottom here I have runs, walks, strikeouts, and this is stolen bases right here. And that might be a little bit of overkill there. I don't do that all the time.
But show us the marks that you've made for what's happened so far in the game.
BB is a walk based on balls, and I always mark a line to first base like that. And then the stolen base, I put SB right there. And that's not calling anybody any names. That's just a stolen base. And there's another walk right here, and also the line to first base. So we got runners on first and second. I mean, it's classic scorekeeping
so far. Yep. We'll see how it goes from here.
Everybody has their own little way of doing things.
Well, G just threw another changeup, not even close to the strike zone, and so far this is reminiscent of John Neeson's curveball the other day. Each struggling with their signature pitch. 2-0 now to Crisp. And it's laced into center field for a base hit. Weeks around third. He'll be held up there as the throw comes into the cutoff man. So Weeks is held at third by Mike Gallego, the third base coach. And the A's have the bases loaded and nobody out.
All right, let's see the pitch right here. It's going to be a fastball. And you know what? You see a lot of hitters taking 2-0 here. You got a pitcher on the ropes. He's thrown 15 pitches, only 5 strikes. Runners on first and second, 2-0 count, and you want to go deep into a count with a pitcher's baloney. He's got to come with a 2-0 fastball. You rip it, and that's exactly what Chris did.
So here is 37-year-old Hideki Matsui making his return to New York tonight, and he has a chance for a little bit of history as this series goes along. Between his Japanese career and his U.S. career, Matsui has 499 home runs. And it's hit to center field, and well, it'll get a run home. Pagan back to grab it for the first out. Weeks tags and scores. The other runners tag and move up as well. So Matsui with a sacrifice fly, and Oakland out to a quick 1-0 lead.
Well, you know, in Stratomatic, that's a fly ball to center field A, and advances all runners. This is a huge, isn't it? See the 2 fingers, it's a fastball, and too much plate. So he is really laboring right now, and it drifts Pagan back. He's got to throw off his back foot. Nice read. Watch the back runner at first base. See, he reads it's a fly ball. It's not going out. Even before Pagan caught it. That's good base running right there.
So a run is in, second and third and 1 out. Mets have the infield back. Connor Jackson, the batter, and he takes ball 1. Mets saw plenty of Jackson when he was with the Arizona Diamondbacks. In fact, he has a 10-game hitting streak against the Mets going back to 2007. He's been something of a part-time player for Oakland, playing both first base and the outfield. He's at first base tonight. And Jackson grounds one to third. Turner ignores the runner coming home and gets the out at first, and it's 2-0 Oakland. Well, so Pennington, running on contact, scores without a throw.
And the on-deck batter, Ryan Sweeney, didn't even move off the on-deck circle to help his base runner trying to score. He had no idea if he had to slide or not. I mean, you got to rush up there and help your base runner.
What about Turner's decision to throw
watch
first?
Right here, watch him. Oh, let me just swing my bat. Dun, 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 dun. You know, you got a voice too. You got a voice. You got to play at home. Maybe.
What do you think? Could Turner have come home with that?
I think you get the sure out. I really do. If there's any doubt, you don't want to have a big inning. He was playing back. Ball wasn't hit that hard. 2 runs. Long way to go in this ball game.
So here's Ryan Sweeney. He's 6'4", 215. He's gone 319 at bats since his last home run. Something doesn't compute there. A ball to strike to Sweeney, who's hitting at 268. Well, Bob Melvin kept a couple of his key lefties on the bench tonight, put Connor Jackson in the lineup against G, figuring that G's been so much tougher against lefties. but he's got Sweeney in there. And Sweeney takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, he's starting to zone in now, getting on the corners with that fastball. And that, I guess that's going to be the first thing for him, to get a rhythm, and then everything else, the secondary pitches will come with it.
1-2 to Sweeney, and this is inside with a changeup, 2-2.
I mean, we had a similar thing last game with Jonathan Neese. Gary, he came out and didn't have it, and John has been so terrific over his last 6 starts, and he's one of those days where he just didn't have command of any of his pitches. It's a funny game.
2-2. Sweeney lines one right to Reyes to end the inning. But a couple of walks get G in trouble. They both come around to score, and the Mets come to bat, trailing 2-0.
All right, well, the 2 walks, stolen base, and then I got a base hit in the 3rd hole right here. Loaded the bases. Sacrifice fly. This dot means an RBI. And F8, sac. And then a 5-3 on your scorecard. The next hitter for 2 out, the ground ball 3rd base. That drove in a run. That's another dot. And then the line. I put L6 instead of F6 because I want to know when I look back on the game that he had a line drive, not a pop-up.
First pitch by Josh Outman, a call strike to Jose Reyes as we check out the Geico Mets starting lineup. Same unit that's been running out there most days. Carlos Beltran's been hot, particularly in RBI situations. Reyes went just 2 for 12 against the Angels. Josh Outman making his 6th start. He's a survivor of Tommy John surgery that kept him out all of last year. Began this year in the minor leagues, working his way back, made 8 starts in AAA before being called up. And Reyes gets under one out to shallow left center. And in comes Coco Crisp to grab it one away. And we've seen more of that the last few days from Reyes than we have in some time.
Well, Jose tends, when he goes bad, tends to lift the ball. And we'll look at the Coors Light defense. First start in the field for Hideki Matsui, and of course it's more than likely because of interleague play. The veteran, of course, out in left field. Interesting to see Coco Crisp still hanging around here playing center field. He's an outstanding defensive center fielder.
Here's Justin Turner, just 7 hits in his last 41 at bats. But when the money is out there, he has generally cashed it in. It's been terrific with runners in scoring position.
Well, he's a guy that knows how to handle the bat, advance runners, and that's what he has to do. You know, he knows how to play the game, plays it hard too. big opportunity for him. You know, he didn't make the ball club, and here he is. He got his opportunity, his chance, and he has just taken advantage of it.
Terry Collins said today he thinks that Turner is still battling that sore thumb that kept him out of action for a couple of days, but he's trying to play his way through it.
And he's denied any effects of it, and any effects on the errant throw yesterday, 2 days ago, excuse me.
2-1 from Outman, and it's bounced slowly. Scott Sizemore makes the toss, 2 down.
So a nice little change up from Mr. Outman right there. Oh, I stand corrected. It's a splitter, folks. You can see the split of the fingers there. And you see how it has rotation. So it looks like a fastball coming in. That's just the backside of the ball. That's what the hitter sees on the other side. It's coming towards him, but obviously it's a matter of split second before you got to make up your mind what you want to do.
There's Beltran with 2 out and nobody on. Carlos at 288 for the year. 6 of his 10 home runs have come as a right-hand batter. In fact, his slugging percentage from this side of the plate is .645. And the curveball sits high, 1-1. Your umpiring crew tonight: Adrian Johnson and Alan Porter, 2 young umpires, Fielding Culbreth, and the crew chief, Gary Cedarstrom. Fastball taken low, and it's 2-1.
I remember when the A's had the sleeveless jersey tops, and I liked them, particularly the road ones.
I want to know what you think of Outman's sock selection tonight. This is what he always wears. He's got the gray pants, the green stirrups, the gold socks, and the white shoes.
So they're real sanitaries. They're not. That's the old-fashioned way. I love it. I don't care for the color combination. It's a little wild.
It's all over the place. Inside ball 4, and Beltran's on with a walk. Of course, the A's have worn those white shoes since the days of Charlie Finley, who brought the team to Oakland from Kansas City in 1966.
And Charlie Finley wanted yellow baseballs too, remember? And didn't they experiment with it? And they just you got to have
they used it during spring training,
right? And it just was a no-no. The hitters said, you know, we need the white, you know, with the contrast of the red seams.
Well, there's Murphy, just 3 for his last 25, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Murphy staying in that cleanup spot even against the left-hander. His numbers have been pretty good against left-handed pitching, even though Terry Collins pinch hit for him against the left-hander in the 9th inning on Sunday. Good breaking ball by Outman, and it's 0-2.
Well, Outman's got a little funky motion, kind of short arms it. And that's really it's a slider that kind of backed up inside. Straight fastball, what I see so far.
And he strikes out Murphy with a slider, and that'll do it for the Mets in the bottom of the first. First strikeout for Outman. 2-0 A's after 1. Be a big week for Ike Davis and David Wright. They're both seeing the doctor this week. David was out on the field before the game today doing some light tossing and taking some ground balls on his knees. His doctor's appointment is on Thursday. He's going to undergo a CAT scan to see how that fractured back is healing. Ike is seeing the doctor tomorrow. He's going to have an MRI to see how that bone bruise in his ankle is coming along. And the Mets are obviously hoping for better news than they had the last doctor's appointment when both of them were basically shut down for 3 weeks. Kurt Suzuki leads off in the second against Dylan G, who had a rocky first with a couple of walks that both came around to score. Suzuki, the Hawaiian-born A's catcher, he has caught more games in the major league since 2008 than any other catcher. So he's been an Iron Man. His numbers offensively have fallen off, though. He's hitting just .230. And G's behind again, 2-0. Scott Sizemore is on deck. And then the pitcher Josh Outman in the second. Out to center field, and Pagan barely asked to move. One away. So Suzuki is retired, and now Scott Sizemore, who started the season with the Detroit Tigers, was traded in late May for left-hander David Percy. And he's been doing an amazing job for the A's since the trade. He's hitting .387 in 10 games. So he's pretty much taken over the third base job. And he takes a strike.
Only just off to a hot start. 10 games is which you would categorize as a hot start with his new ball club.
Lined in the left. On comes Bay to reach down and grab it on his knees. I don't think Jason was sure at first whether he was going to have to play it on a hop or whether he could catch it, but he did.
Well, this is a bullet right here, and you always worry about the lights, losing the ball in the lights, which would be over the first base dugout. But Bay, a very accomplished outfielder, and that will be an L7. 7 is the left fielder, and the L will let me know down the road that it wasn't a fly ball, it was a line drive.
For those of you who are completely new to scoring a baseball game, every position on the field has a number. Here's Outman taking a strike. The pitcher is 1. The catcher is 2. First base is 3. Second base is 4. Now this is the quirky part.
Yeah.
Third base is 5 and shortstop is 6. Then the outfielders left to right. Left field 7, center field 8, right field 9.
There you go. Yep. So the only really tough one is the shortstop and third baseman.
Don't ask us why. Swing and a miss, and Outman is down on strikes to end the inning. G has his first strikeout. He's retired 6 in a row after a rough first. 2-0 Oakland. is brought to you by Mazda. Take a test drive at your Mazda dealer today. Zoom, zoom. Angel Pagan will lead off the home second inning with the Mets down 2-0. It'll be Pagan, Bay, and Foligno for the Mets against the left-hander Josh Outman. Pagan has struggled as a right-hand hitter this year. He's hitting just 128 from this side of the plate, 296 left-handed. And in fact, the Mets are facing a bunch of left-handed pitching this week. 2 lefties in this series and 2 more against Texas. And Terry Collins said today he plans to start Scott Hairston in center field tomorrow against Gio Gonzalez, another left-hander.
And the Mets are 9-8 this year against left-handers.
However, their team batting average against lefties is much lower than against righties. Pennington has it and shows off his arm to get Pagan one away. He throws better than Chad.
Yes, he does. But he doesn't have the shoulder injuries of Chad.
I don't know if he's quite the field general that Chad is. Yeah, I was a big Chad guy.
I know you were. You're a Jet guy. I'm with you.
Here's Jason Bay. He took an 0 on Sunday after showing some good signs in the few days leading up to that. Now hitting at .222.
Has yet to hit a home run off a left-hander.
And he's closing in on 90 at bats since his last extra base hit. That's how powerless his season has been. 1-1 to Jason.
Outman throws strikes.
Ronnie Foligno on deck. Two balls and a strike. Well, Outman was certainly that in his last start against Kansas City. 7 scoreless innings in a 2-1 win with that 88 at bats now.
It's baffling, is it not?
Well, when he's gotten hits, they've been ground balls or line drives.
See, those are his pitches that he rips. I told you, Bay's up. You can see his mutterings there. Oh, too sweet.
Got her purse. She's ready for a big night on the town. Bay takes a slider, low and in, 3-2.
Deep in the box, Jason, as deep as he can go with that back foot. Very widespread. A lot of hitters are so spread out today.
Hit hard toward the hole, and there's a base hit for Bay. And that's been the style of hit that Jason has had. A 1-out single, the Mets' first hit of the night.
Well, fastball in and up. He's still just a tad quick. Watch his top hand, which is his right hand. He's a top hand hitter. Comes over. See how that bat, the angle of the bat, when he brings that top hand over, what happens to it? And that's what I think when you're a little bit too quick, as that bat comes up with the wrist roll, that's why he's getting under the ball. I'd like to check his grip.
Mercedes-Benz Ultramo brought to you by your tri-state dealers on the web at searchmercedes.com. What about his grip?
Well, maybe we can get the camera here and shoot, and I can show a visual as opposed to trying to describe it. I can give the fans what I think is something worth looking into.
Foligno pops it up, and Pennington grabs it for the second out.
I just want to see where his knuckles line up. It's just hard to tell. It's just difficult with the gloves, you know. It just everything gets so skewed with the gloves on. But you know, I always it's like golf. If you want to have a power of, you know, want to play a fade, I always line my knuckles up right here. Okay, so if I were to do this, then the top hand becomes, see how the back comes, that's what Bay does. And see how the bat kind of angles over, and it makes you more like if you were a golfer. It would be a swing if you wanted to play a pull, a little bit of a draw. So this, to me, I could be dead wrong, but that's where you want to do it. And if you like this, I could be dead wrong, but now, we're all sitting up here for the last year and a half trying to figure out what the heck's going on.
But let me ask you this: did you see enough of Babe before? Was he coming over with his top end like that when he was hitting?
He always swung like that, and he always had a peculiar swing. And again, you're asking someone to make a change if there is, and you can't. Guys they hit a certain way, and you make and to me that's a drastic change. It may feel uncomfortable, but he's had success with that swing, and I think most of it's mental now. It's been a long year and a half for him here in a Met uniform. But I'll say one thing: he runs everything out. He doesn't put his dauber down and become a drain on the team emotionally. He's a professional. He hustles. Doesn't affect his defense.
1-1 to Tejada, and it's outside of the changeup. 2-1.
I feel like with how Terry Collins feels, and Dave Hudgens down there, and Sandy Alderson. When will be the day he comes and we see the Jason Bay that put up those numbers in Pittsburgh and Boston? I don't care if he doesn't hit home runs, but just doubles and drive-in runs, and that would be acceptable. I feel for him. It's just.
Meanwhile, Tejada working with a 2-2 count. Ruben had 2 hits on Sunday after sitting out Saturday. His bat has hit a bit of a cold spell. There goes Bay, and Tejada down on strikes to end the inning. Second strikeout for Josh Outman. Mets get their first hit and lead one after 2 at Citi Field, 2-0 Oakland. Jameel Weeks leads off. You're looking at Keith's scorecard for the bottom of the second as Weeks takes a strike.
Well, we'll recap. 6-3 ground ball to shortstop. That means 1 out. Base hit, 1B. Runner to goes to first. 2 outs. F6. Pop up to short. And a K is a strike, of course. 3rd out.
And you don't keep track of where the base hits go.
No, I remember.
I got a great memory. You're like an elephant.
I remember. I focus on. I like to focus on the battle between the hitters and the pitcher. And I know if it's an inside pitch that jammed him or he hit a nasty pitch. I just have good retention that way. I always did when I played. I had that kind of retention. I could go over every at bat, every game, in detail, pitch by pitch at the end of the game. Whether it was 5 at bats or whatever, it's just something you have to do.
Weeks walked, stole a base, and scored a run in the first inning. And G's behind him again, 3-1. And taking all the way, a strike, 3-2.
And I never kept notes and never looked at video film.
So you don't have the like the Delgado book.
No, I would tell you I could have that would have been beneficial. But I just didn't have I wouldn't have had the patience to keep the book, particularly during the game. I remember Delgado, we'd have shots of him in the dugout after and at bat in the middle of the game, writing down. I could never do that. Be too focused on what's going on out there. But you know, as far as what the pitchers had, it just didn't take me very long to know. First thing you recognize in ball 4 here, and G is really struggling.
Missing with a 3-2 fastball. That's his 3rd walk already. And again, he walks the speedy Weeks. So not Cliff Pennington, who walked his first time out.
The first thing you do as a hitter is you hone in on what the pitcher has, his stuff, his movement on his fastball, how hard he throws, his breaking ball, his changeup, how sharp is it, how much does it break. Then after you get that and you've got that all in, then you start focusing on how's he like to pitch me. And how's he like to pitch me when on base. And how's he like to pitch me late in the game, tight with men on base.
Now in this game tonight, you've got a situation where every hitter on both teams is facing the opposing pitcher for the first time. So nobody really has any first-hand knowledge. They might have video knowledge. They might have scouting report knowledge. So if you were in that kind of situation, what do you do your first few at-bats? Are you taking a lot of pitches?
You just become more primordial. See the ball and hit it. You can't think because you haven't faced them, so you have no feel. So it's look fastball, and you're just like my dad always taught you, like a caged cat. You're like a cat against a cornered, and you come out fighting. I know that's kind of primordial, but it worked for me.
You're coming out from the ooze.
Yes, that's the terminology I was trained with my father. So
really, you're kind of like a caveman.
Yes. Survival instincts. I never liked there's a fastball away. May want him to throw over. Nope.
And again, G falls behind 2-0.
And he's not missing by much. He's just missing.
Coco Crisp on deck.
I never liked playing in the World Series. I mean, I loved playing in the World Series, the 2 that I was in, but it was difficult to go up there and face someone you never faced before. So.
But once you get out of that primordial mode, as you put it, and you've survived those first couple of at-bats, can you then go back and analyze what happened during those at-bats?
Well, you don't analyze when you go back and analyze. You just now, after the first at-bat, the ideal, in a perfect world, and I'll continue after the pitch.
3-0 to Pennington, and he walks him on 4 pitches. Boy, this is a whole different kind of game for Dylan G, who said after his game in Atlanta, when he was forced to come out after 4 innings, it was probably the best command, best stuff he had all year. Well, here he is after throwing only 53 pitches in that game and with an extra day of rest, and you have to wonder whether maybe that is hampered his command.
Or is he too strong? I mean, look at the same thing happened with Neese. Neese said he had the greatest command of his breaking ball to start prior to the finale against the Angels. And he went out there and he couldn't find it. It's just one of the quirks of the game. The perfect world at first at bat, Gary, you take a pitch. I always took a first pitch. Perfect world, it's ball 1. Okay, whether it's a fastball, curve, or a changeup. Okay, I've seen 1 pitch. Now it throws another pitch. It's his secondary pitch. I see his second pitch. He misses. I'm 2-0 now, and I've seen his 2 pitches. That is a perfect world.
But what if you're 0-2?
Well, you wouldn't take. After 0-1, you got to go to hit.
Here's Crisp, who singled in a run his first time, and he goes after the first pitch fastball and misses. you see the numbers on Dylan G. The second rookie in the last 11 years to start the season with 7 straight wins. Has not been getting that first pitch over, and he's walked the top 2 hitters in the order back to back twice now. Chris loops it out to shallow left center. Long one in for Bay, and he slides to make the grab. Jason Bay had to run a long way. One away.
Well, this had nothing but trouble written all over it, but Jason's a solid outfielder. And gets a, don't bite your tongue off.
Work for Michael Jordan. Mercedes-Benz Ultra Mo brought to you by Tri-State Dealers on the web at searchmercedes.com. So 1 out, and now Matsui, who hit a sacrifice fly his first time up. Matsui playing the outfield as a starter tonight for the first time since last July. He's been strictly a DH this year. But Bob Melvin said he'd play him in the outfield 1 game each of the National League Series that the A's play, and the game is tonight.
Well, it's interesting that Matsui only has 1 home run against right-handers and 5 against lefties. See, there's that cutter to keep the hitter honest. He's not getting that over. So what does he have? What's his effective pitch? Is that changeup is devastating, and that's the cutter, and he's missed. He hasn't thrown for a strike yet. But look what it did to Matsui. It tied him up. That gets him off the plate. But he's missing. He has to go to the outside corner.
And that changeup is just not finding the plate tonight. Normally his best pitch, and he's not been able to locate it at all.
So those are things that you have to recognize as a hitter, Gare. I don't want to just belabor, go on and on ad nauseum about this, but each at bat in the game, the pitcher, no matter what, has different stuff each time he faces. In a different start. A good change right there. It's the first good one.
Took a little more off that time.
Got some good sinking action on this one, but still it's a little bit out. There's the 3 fingers right there, and he probably wants to get it a little more down. That didn't really sink. A little late, but it's up, and a little bit too much play. We're talking about perfection here. When Dylan wants to throw the corners, and knees.
It's the key to his game. He doesn't throw hard enough to be in the middle of the plate. The runners go, and Matsui fouls it off. So Weeks and Pennington were both on the move against G, who before tonight had not allowed a stolen base this year. Weeks stole in the first inning of this game. We mentioned Matsui, 499 career home runs between his Japanese career, where he has many as 50 in a season for Yomiuri, and his American League career. There have been 25 American players in the U.S. hit 500 home runs and 8 in Japan, but nobody's hit 500 playing both American Major League Baseball and Japanese. So he would be the first.
And he's had a wonderful career in both places.
And an absolute gentleman under difficult circumstances. I mean, he, from the day he arrived in the U.S., was hounded by more media than any Japanese player who's come over. I mean, he was a rarity in Japan. Godzilla, the 50 home run hitting monster.
What was the year he was the MVP in the World Series? He was the MVP the one year, was he not? With the Yankees?
Or 9?
Yeah, I think he was a big home run.
Runners go. The pitch is low, and that's 3 walks in the inning for G. And the A's have the bases loaded. 5 walks now for Dylan. Most unusual.
Well, this, unusual in the fact that we talked about the Oakland A's and their offensive numbers. Their on-base percentage is awful. They're 12th in the league, but they're taking pitches up there. The word gets around the league. Now, Dylan G is the kind of pitcher you got to do 2 things when you attack him offensively. Make him get his changeup up, and don't chase that high fastball that he likes to run up there. So make him get his fastball down, make him get his changeup up.
Bases loaded, 1 out for Connor Jackson, and he takes a fastball just off the plate, 1-0. DJ Carrasco getting an early call on the Mets bullpen. Well, the Mets have had their starters go short twice in this last run through the rotation. Dickey in Atlanta And then Nice on Sunday against the Angels. And that's just off the plate. The change up 2-0.
That one could have gone his way. But you know what? When you're pitching and you're not throwing strikes, the umpires kind of get lulled. And you don't get the break.
There's that last pitch.
I thought that's knee high.
Yeah.
I thought that's a strike.
Adrian Johnson said no, and now it's 3-0.
Oh boy.
Threw a 2-0 changeup with the bases loaded and missed with it. And you know, normally he can do that because he's got such great command of it, but not tonight.
Well, my feeling now is if he's going to get any kind of rhythm, he's got to let it air. He's got to air it out and just throw fastballs here and try to locate.
3-0 to Jackson, taking a call strike, 3-1. Jackson grounded out to third base to drive in a run in the first inning.
And then
well, G needs a ground ball here. Try and get himself through the inning. And Jackson takes outside, ball 4, and it forces in a run.
Wow.
4 walks in the inning produce a run for Oakland, and it's 3-0 A's.
And Terry Collins, I think, is very, very close to getting the hook out. If it was Sparky Anderson, he'd be in for a shower.
A night when Dylan G just has not had it. He's had some difficult games earlier in the season. He had that game in Houston where he allowed 4 runs in the first inning, but was able to keep his team around. Mets have won every game he started this year, but he's already put them in a 3-0 hole, and it could get worse. Ryan Sweeney up with the bases loaded, and he takes it low.
Gee, see that sinker? You're not fishing. I mean, it's not rocket science. You know, when you got a sinker ball pitcher, a sinking change, you got to make him get it up.
More balls than strikes for Dylan.
That's low. He's just missing. This is just really interesting to see, and I love his demeanor on the mound. He is really struggling, and I don't see him getting rattled. I mean, in the past with John Maine, we'd get John early in Mike Pelfrey's career. We'd see them getting riled up and visibly agitated. Not Dylan G. He's trying to find it and work through it, but he's on the end of his rope here pretty quickly.
He has already walked 4 in the inning, 6 in the game, and he's behind 2-0 on Sweeney, who lined out to short his first time up. And Sweeney hits a ground ball that Tejada can't make a play on, and a run comes home. Tejada thinking double play all the way, but the ball came up, and he couldn't handle it, and it's 4-0 Oakland.
I got to believe they're going to give this a base hit. What do you think, Gary? How would you roll?
Absolutely.
That's a tough hop. It's a bad hop. It's a bad hop.
And it is a base hit for Sweeney and an RBI. Just the second hit for the A's. Well, Tejada's been so good, you almost expected him to make that play, but that would have been a highlight reel play.
And about tough. If he'd have picked it and been a tough turn in it.
So things just keep getting worse for G. Got the ground ball, but no out. So the bases remain loaded for Kurt Suzuki, and he takes a strike. Suzuki flied to center his first time up.
And that's what he's got to do. He just got to get that. He's got to find one pitch here that he can throw for a strike. And you get racky tacked, you get racky tacked.
Racky tack?
Yeah, that's the old one. Throwing out of my pass there.
Matsui is the runner at third, and his wheels have long since passed their expiration date. So it would take a pretty good fly ball to get him home. One and one to Suzuki. And that's a strike. Finally gets the changeup over the plate. And that Keith's scorecard is way too full of BBs tonight.
And you can see that the sacks are loaded. And he's finally got ahead of a hitter here, 1 and 2. That's the high fastball. See, that's a good weapon of his, and they're laying off that one. That's his strikeout pitch right there. I love that pitch. It's a high riser, but he didn't go after it. What do they call it? Four-seamer today.
It's because they hold it across four seams. Right.
interesting how ahead in the count he's throwing more fastballs, even though it's 2-2. But he got ahead in the count and he's pitching more aggressively. Where in the past, when he fell behind, he was trying to throw a changeup and was getting him in trouble for getting deeper in the count, falling further behind.
2-2 to Suzuki with 1 out of the bases full. And he reaches for it and fouls it off. It's got to be just so frustrating as a pitcher, I guess as any athlete, when you have a certain weapon in your arsenal that you're able to go to time and time again, and then all of a sudden it's not there. That changeup has been the difference maker for G this year, off to his 7-0 start, but not tonight. Another fastball, a changeup that time, and he fouls it off his leg.
And a better one, a little bit. Suzuki's chasing some bad pitches, but he threw 3 straight fastballs. It kind of enabled him to get a semblance of a rhythm. And here's the change. And that's location right there. Good sink. That's the change he needs that we've come to see and love.
This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat coming to Suzuki. And he popped it up. Infield fly rule will be called. The batter's out. And Murph squeezes it 2 away. Always a big out for G. Bases remain loaded with 2 out, and Scott Sizemore will come up. Sizemore hit a bullet his first time up, and Jason Bay was able to go down to his knees and grab it. So it's been an awfully hard-working night for G already. 67 pitches deep with 2 out in the 3rd. As he faces Sizemore. And first pitch changeup for a strike.
We're going to be picky here. It's a strike, but it was right down the pipe and up.
Chopper for Tejada. He can take that one right to the bag, and that ends the inning. But 4 walks in the inning. First time a Met pitcher has done that this year. And it's 4-0 Oakland in the 3rd. It takes us back to 1973 when the Mets and A's met in the World Series. John Matlack against Ken Holtzman in Game 1. Buddy Harrelson had the glove going, but Felix Millon's error helped the A's score 2 unearned runs against Matlack, and that was enough for Holtzman, who went 5 innings. Raleigh Fingers 3 and a 3rd in relief. That's back when relief pitchers were men.
Yes, and Holtzman, let me tell you, he had wicked stuff. Ken Holtzman.
2-1 Oakland in the first game of that World Series. Dylan G up for the first time.
Everybody thought the A's were just going to roll right over the Mets, and it didn't happen.
Of course, they thought the Reds were going to do that before that, and they didn't. Mets that year in 1973 were in last place on the 30th of August and rallied to win the East. There's 3 games over 500, beat the Reds in the LCS, and that was game 1 of the World Series. A couple of unearned runs.
What was the time? What was the time in that game?
2 hours and 26 minutes
for a 2-1 ball game.
Well, you know, the commercial breaks were shorter then.
Mets out hit the A's 7-4.
G is down on strikes. 3rd strikeout for Josh Outman, and the first down at the bottom of the 3rd. Now Reyes up for the 2nd time. Jose flying to center his first time up. If you missed the news earlier, Sandy Alderson announced to the media today that he had reached out to Reyes' agent, Peter Greenberg, last week to see if they could sit down and talk about a possible new contract. And the response from Reyes' agent was that Jose prefers to wait till the end of the season before doing any contract negotiations. And Reyes spoke to the media today as well, saying he just doesn't want the distraction. He just wants to focus on playing. And I think, you know, while it would be a wonderful thing if the Mets could have signed him to a long-term deal in the middle of the year, what this does right now is it takes away the daily questions for both Reyes and for the team.
And, you know, guys, I spoke to someone today who's friendly with Reyes, and, you know, the feeling was that this really is not going to change the dynamic of the negotiations between Reyes and the Mets. I mean, I think the initial reaction maybe by fans is like, oh, that means that, you know, Jose has no chance of coming back here. That wasn't the vibe that I got. I think it's just, you know, putting it off to the side for now, dealing with it when the season's over.
By the way, that was Kevin Burkhardt, that disembodied voice. Hi, Kevin.
Kevin, where are you?
I like to throw curveballs every once and again and just come on.
Well, thanks for joining in.
You came out of the ether.
Well, Kevin, tell me if you got the same impression that I did with Sandy Alderson talking today. As Reyes shoots one foul, it certainly seemed as though Sandy was implying that they're simply not going to trade Reyes during the season.
I got the same feeling, and I think, you know, what I found telling about his comments, Gary, were, you know, it doesn't matter how the team plays. It's really a long-term decision for the Mets. It's not a 3-week decision that's coming up here. It's, do they want Reyes when they can afford the money, or are they not?
Reyes hits one out to left field. Matsui playing out there for the first time this year, and he runs it down. Well, he got a late break going back, but it had enough hang time that Matsui can be happy with himself that he caught it for the second out.
He made the break in first. You're right, Garrett, but recover. Too much air time. He's going to check the wall. Major league player should be a piece of cake.
And so it was. 2 out and nobody on, and Justin Turner coming up. Turner grounded out to third base his first time up.
Yeah, Gary, just one more thing from my end. You know, realize that at the end of the year, the Mets will have, you know, exclusive negotiating window with Reyes. You know, when their season ends till I believe the end of the World Series. So, you know, they still will have time to talk and see where they go here. But I'm with you. I thought that Sandy was implying the same thing, that Reyes will be here this year.
The phrase that Sandy used, he said, Jose is a one-off situation, which basically means that if the Mets don't play well between now and the time approaching the deadline, that other players certainly might be dealt, that they might be sellers, but that even if they are sellers, Reyes will probably not be one of those pieces for sale.
I think he's here to stay, at least for the season, and the Mets have made it plain that they want to sign him.
Turner deep to right center, headed toward the wall, and that ball bounces over the fence for a ground rule double. Might have cost him a triple in that spot. So Turner will settle for a 2-out ground rule double, his 12th double of the year.
Well, he goes the other way so well. That's a little cutter. Well, I'm sorry, sinker. And right with it, not fooled by that late sink.
So the Mets have their second hit. And now Beltran will come up to try and drive him in. Beltran has been on a tear with runners in scoring position. He's up to 343 this year now with runners in scoring position. That's 7th in the National League. Now has 44 runs batted in.
For the IOTV pitch differential, and not much of a difference, but up, and you can see 2-3 inches makes a world of difference. I feel like Larry Fine here and being very detailed. Larry Fine.
The Three Stooges?
Yes. Larry Fine. So we used to say Larry Fine, my brother and I. When we were very fine and detailed. We called him Larry Fine.
You had me confused there.
Yes. Well, I wasn't clear.
I thought you were saying that you were being a stooge.
Well.
If you were a stooge, you could see him more as Mo than Larry.
Mo? Gosh. Really?
I'm more the Larry. You're more the Mo.
Well, okay.
You take charge.
How about
You're the captain.
How about Shep?
Bounce down to third. Sizemore backs up on it and then throws out Beltran to end the inning. So Outman works around Turner's double, and it's 4-0 Oakland after 3. Fourth inning, the pitcher Josh Outman leads off against Dylan G. Outman working with a 4-0 lead, struck out his first time up. And there's a strike, and it's 1-1. You might be intrigued by the fact that Outman wears number 88.
Yeah.
A little unusual, right?
Yeah.
But when he first came up with the A's, he wore number 55. But then when the A's got Hideki Matsui, that was always Matsui's number, he gave it up. So he thought back to his college days when he wore number 8, and 8 was taken. Kurt Suzuki has that, so he took 88. It's kind of like when Phil Esposito and Kent Hodge came to the Rangers, and they took 77 and 88. Reyes throws out Outman one away. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Yeah, guys, multiple players have told me about Terry Collins that, obviously he's fun to be around. They like following him. He's, he makes it fun. But they've also said, when he comes time to drop the hammer, he does it, and they listen. And I asked Terry about that today, kind of separating church and state, if you will. And he said, look, it can be kind of tough. I think, one of the things is sometimes you kind of have to look the other way and not, pick on every little thing. He said if you do that, it'll be a problem. So, you kind of pick your spots. You turn your head once in a while, ignore some stuff, because then when it comes times for the important things, they listen. He said, look, I'm all about having fun. I preach to have fun. We've got to do that. But I thought it was an interesting dynamic. I mean, I'll give you an example. We've obviously seen Terry get hard on players, in the dugout. We know he's done it after games. But, in Atlanta, for example, he's sitting down with Jose Reyes watching a reggae video with Jose. I mean, he has the ability to, have fun and be friendly, but also lay down the hammer when it comes time. It's worked, guys.
It's really a fine line you have to walk as the manager of any group as Weeks flies out to left. Kevin, I understand there's a unique opportunity tonight for the fans to win something.
Well, it's only for the folks on Twitter, so you and Keith are out, unfortunately. Yeah, you could win a $50 McFadden's gift card during tonight's game, guys. So here's what you do. I'll have a question about the game on SNY TV. That's the follow, SNY TV. Excuse me. If you're the first to respond with the correct answer, you get a $50 McFadden's gift card. But you have to follow at SNY TV to get a chance to win. So that'll come up later in the game. Pay attention. You could win. That's the deal.
So if we signed up right now for Twitter, could we make that work?
You could. You could. It doesn't take long to sign on.
We can go. Can we sign on in a false name?
Sure.
If I remember my quote from last week, I believe it was never, ever, ever, ever.
Is that still intact?
I think I'm stuck.
Okay.
We'll leave the gift certificates for people who are more deserving than we.
Yes. Keith left the door open, though, Gary.
Yes, he did.
There was a slight.
Especially now. There's stuff on the table. 3-1 to Pennington, who's walked twice and scored 2 runs.
Kev, I always meant to ask you, well, you're down the field and we're up here in the booth. So is it breezy down there? Is it muggy? What is it? Because we're kind of up here, we have no idea how breezy it is or if it's how hot it is.
It's none of the above, Keith. It's not much of a breeze at all, and it's actually not really muggy. It's honestly the perfect night down here.
First day of summer. Taken the other way, and Pennington has himself an extra base hit. So Cliff Pennington had himself a fine night, a couple of walks, and now an opposite field double. Just the third hit off Dylan G.
Well, he goes after a high fastball here away out of the strike zone, but he gets on top of it. Can't place it any better than that.
So a runner in scoring position with 2 out. Now Coco Crisp has hit the ball hard twice. Single to center to drive in a run in the first, and then Jason Bay made a nice sliding catch in shallow left center in the third. Coco is now 31 years old. First came up through the Cardinals organization. Back then he was known by his proper name, Covelli Crisp. He was named after Machiavelli.
Interesting. I hope he doesn't have the same political philosophy.
I don't think he's quite into domination in the way Machiavelli might have been.
Jeez.
I think Coco suits him better, don't you? I mean, just think, it's a long way from Machiavelli to Coco.
That's true. Oh, and by the way, that Millard Fillmore thing we had the other night, I blew it. It wasn't Admiral Perry. It was Dewey that went over to Japan. I blew it again on my historic moment.
You are forgiven your trespass against history. I wouldn't have known either way. But it's nice of you to call yourself out of that.
What's in a name?
As my producer always says. G ahead 1-2 on Crisp. And he gets one off the fist of foul ball. G looking a little sharper here in the 4th inning. It's been a very rough go for Dylan tonight. He's walked 6 over the first 3 2/3, and DJ Carrasco staying ready because G is already up to 86 pitches, working with 2 out of the 4th. Or 85. Line caught by G. A broken bat liner by Crisp, and G's glove just got high enough to snag it to end the inning. Good reaction by the Mets rookie pitcher. A double and one left. 4-0 A's in the fourth. Daniel Murphy leads off the home fourth inning and takes a curveball. Ball one from Josh Outman. Murphy struck out on 3 pitches his first time up. It'll be Murphy, Pagan, and Bay as the Mets try and climb the hill in the fourth. They've had just 2 hits tonight. And a fastball for a strike, 1-1.
Well, Outman came into this game in 28 2/3 with 11 walks. He's throwing strikes.
He's picking up where he left off in his last start. He threw 7 scoreless against Kansas City, walked only 2, gave up just 4 hits in a 2-1 win. Just hitting his stride coming back from Tommy John surgery a year, well, really now 2 years ago. A breaking ball, and he strikes out Murphy for the second time. That's 4 strikeouts now for Outman. And we've been checking Keith's scorecard all night. And here's some of the stuff that he has to prepare for the game.
Okay, this is the bullpen here. So on this side is the right-handers, and on the bottom here is their closer. And I always put their bridge guy, their 8th inning guy, right next to him. And everybody up here is long. And here's the left-handers. In this case, Brian Fuentes is their closer. Over here, I have the position of the field. And what I do is I have the record of the pitcher, 2-1 on the diamond, ERA, games started, shutouts, complete games, innings, hits, runs, earned runs, walks, strikeouts, home runs. So I have all the pitcher's information right here. And then over here, I have what he pitches against. This is what lefties hit against him. 222, 27 at bats, 6 hits, no home runs. Right-handers, 250. Here's his lifetime record.
Now, let me just interrupt you. You do your batting averages a little bit quirky.
Yes.
Most people do a decimal point and 3 numbers. You don't write it that way.
I don't. I write it with the percentage mark. I always have, and it's just my quirk. And it's incorrect, but it's the way I do it, and I stand by it.
Good for you. You should always have courage of your convictions. 2-1 to Pagan. And he lifts one out to shallow right. Weeks going out. Sweeney coming in, and it drops in between. Bad communication there between Ryan Sweeney, the right fielder, and Jameel Weeks, the rookie second baseman. And Pagan winds up at second base.
Well, the outfielder is always the police officer here, and he's got to call it and call it loud. And, you know, right away you can see Weeks realizes that he's been called off, but it's too late. If you recall, you Met fans out there, Tim Tuffle and Darryl Strawberry had a terrible time communicating when Tuff came over that first year in '86. And they had a horrible time in communication, and they both got gun shy. And I realized that I was on first base. I just said, okay, I ran out with no intention to catch the short pop fly, but to scream and yell, whether it was Darryl's or Tuffle's ball. And that ended that.
Now, why should there be miscommunication? Just Darryl didn't yell loud enough?
Yes, I guess so. You got to yell. I mean, no one wants to get in the collision. I have a voice that you can have 50,000 people screaming and yelling, and people will hear me on the field. They always heard me.
Translates well to television.
That's why my first wife said, "Don't yell at me." I said, "Honey, if I yell at you, you'll know. I'm not even close."
You were just raising your voice a bit. I completely understand. I get that all the time. Your voice resonates, you know. Well, everybody at Citi Field trying to make their voice resonate. With Outman behind on Jason Bay, 2-0. Jason singled through the hole at short his first time up. Pagan dancing off second. He got credit for a double, by the way. And now it's 3-0 to Bay.
Interesting how pitcher cruising right along, and all of a sudden gets a little bit feathers ruffled on a miscue out there by his defense.
Well, Outman's 26 years old, but he has not had much big league experience. Came up in the latter part of '08, bit in '09. Then he got hurt with the Tommy John surgery. And this is just his 6th start this year.
Yep. Out all season in '09. I'm sorry, 10 last year.
Originally drafted by the Phillies, came over in the Joe Blanton trade to Oakland. There's ball 4, and the Mets have 2 men on. Second walk given up by Outman. And he'll get a visit from his pitching coach, Ron Romanek. Here's your AT&T trivia question. Who are the 3 Met rookie starting pitchers to make the All-Star team? I'll tell you what, that just tells you how good Mets pitching's been over the years, because a rookie starting pitcher making the All-Star team almost never happens. But the Mets have had 3 of them. Back in the first 49 years of the franchise, the Mets have had 22 different pitchers make an All-Star team. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, this is an organization steeped in pitching.
So here's a chance for Polino to get the Mets back in this game. He popped to short his first time up. First and second and 1 out. Ronnie came into the day hitting .344 against left-handed pitching. And he hits the first pitch off the end of the bat into shallow right center. Weeks out, and he can't catch it. They did not call the infield fly rule. The throw goes to third, and just getting there safely is Pagan. It was not a routine play, so they didn't call the infield fly rule, and Weeks failed to catch it. And Polino will get credit for a pop fly single.
Coco Chris was playing out there in Flushing Bay. Jeez. And it's a tough play, and you've got to believe that Weeks was a little gun shy after the other play. And why does he throw to third base?
Well, I thought he could get a force, and he almost did.
He get the force at second, the shorter throw.
I think Bay read it well, and I think Bay was there, but we can check it on the replay. By the way, they're scoring that in error. Yeah, Bay was already at second. He ran the bases well there. And Pagan barely made it to third. Which makes sense, because Bay was halfway and Pagan was going back to tag.
Well, Pagan shouldn't be tagging on that ball, because if it's caught, he can't advance.
Ruben Tejada takes it wide.
And here we go. We get a better view here. Now, if this ball's caught, Pagan can't go to third on a short pop up. Pagan, why'd he tagging up? he's got to be around 10 feet, 15 feet down the line, so it's not even a close play at third base.
So they have charged an error on Weeks on that play. That's a tough error. 2-0 now to Tejada. So things not going well for Outman. His defense betraying him. Weeks nearly colliding with Sweeney on Pagan's pop fly double, and then after the walk to Bay, Weeks failing to catch the pop up by Polino. Tejada struck out his first time up. He's got a 2-0 advantage here. Scott Hairston on deck to pinch hit. A good fastball by Outman, 2-1. That's the hardest pitch he's thrown all night.
Just starting to throw some fastballs by Tejada. He struck out his first at bat on a fastball.
DJ Carrasco ready in the bullpen with the Mets set to pinch hit for G here in the fourth. 2-1 from Outman, and Tejada takes it high. It's 3-1. Well, G forced in a run with a walk. Outman in danger of doing the same. A very different kind of 4 innings for G tonight than he had in his last start. 3-1 to Tejada, and he fouls it back. Full count. Ruben is the tying run at the plate with Pagan at third, Bay at second, and Polino at first. Ruben has one major league home run. It came last year at Wrigley Field.
It's going to be a fastball.
And he fouls it off. And they go out of play.
Now, if he walks Tejada, he should be shot, but I don't mean that literally. You take your chances here. You got the pitcher up next. Tejada's not going to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Make him put it in play.
Bob Melvin checking his scorecard and seeing that Hairston is the only right-handed bat on Terry Collins' bench tonight. And he is on deck.
Yep. So this is the out you want.
Tejada fouls back another fastball, 93 that time from Outman. So he's really dialing it up, trying to get the strikeout in this spot. Outman up to 70 pitches now, working with 1 out in the fourth.
And he should be out of this inning long time ago.
8th pitch of the at bat to Tejada. And he fouls off another one. Well, Tejada, who's already had a 16 pitch at bat this season, hanging in on this one.
Well, this is the advantage of being in that 8th position, is that he's worked the count in his favor. He's going to get fastballs. If you got Chipper Jones up there, you got to be a little more careful. So a hitter like Tejada, you're going to get this fastball in this count with the bases loaded.
Again, the 3-2, and he hits it out to right field, not very deep. Pagan tags at third. Sweeney with the grab. Pagan trying to score, and he's safe.
Oh, nice.
Well, the ball arrived to Suzuki, but Pagan got around him with the first Met run. It's now 4-1. Sacrifice fly for Ruben Tejada, even though he didn't hit it very deep.
Well, it just seems to me that Suzuki, I got to see it was a short hop. If he could have been more in front of the line blocking the plate.
I thought he got it on the fly.
Let me see. He got on the fly. He could have been closer to the line. He's way out too much in front. And that's where your right fielder here has got to give him a 1 hop. Well, it just wasn't an accurate throw. But he's got to be closer to the line.
So Pagan using his speed, taking the gamble, and coming up smelling like a rose. Mets have their first run. Now Hairston will come up to bat for G, tying run at the plate, and you know the kind of power Hairston has. Now they're going to appeal at third, saying Pagan left too early, and third base umpire Gary Cedarstrom says no. Hairston's numbers have really been coming up lately.
Well, he didn't leave early. Just not as strong. No one should be able to score on a ball this shallow.
So now Hairston, who made the final out on Sunday, even though he was safe at first base. 3 hits in his last 8 at bats, including that long home run in Atlanta. And he takes the curveball down for ball 1.
Well, a long home run here would be what the doctor ordered. And there it is, your freeze, scores by freeze count. And it's the proper call. We didn't even tag him. Too far in front.
1-0 to Hairston, and he pops one foul back toward us. 1-1. Well, the Mets were down by 3 runs in Atlanta when Hairston came to bat, and hit a 3-run homer to tie the game. That was last Thursday.
Well, Outman's got to keep the ball down on Hairston.
Greg Breslow, the lefty from Yale, is up in the A's bullpen. And Hairston pops it up. Jamil Weeks with a much easier chance this time.
You never know.
Side retired.
1 for 3.
So the Mets get an unearned run. Pagan with his speed and his moxie. 4-1 Oakland. Orlando Resort from SNY and Toyota. You can enjoy 2 amazing theme parks, non-stop nightlife, and a 3-night stay on site at the exciting Hard Rock Hotel. All you have to do is go to sny.tv/Toyota and enter the Toyota Fan Flyaway Sweepstakes today. As your Russell 5th inning recap, 6 walks from Dylan G, who's out of the game after 4 innings, leading to 4 Oakland runs. In fact, all 4 men he scored, all 4 runs that scored for Oakland came on people who had walked. That's got a run on a sac fly by Ruben Tejada, and it's 4-1 if we start the 5th. Hideki Matsui, who drove in the first run with a sac fly, leads off against DJ Carrasco.
And Carrasco has pitched much better since his recall, made some adjustments down in Buffalo with his delivery. And pitching, I think his pitches are much more crisp. He was throwing more of a lazy breaking ball and a lazy sinker when he was in April and spring, and now it's getting a little more, his pitches are more crisp.
Able to lengthen out his stride, and it's led to more success. He's pitching in long relief for the 2nd straight game. He came in Sunday in the middle of an inning to relieve John Neese and retired 3 in a row. And now comes in to start the 5th inning and back of Dylan G. 2-2 now to Matsui. G threw 87 pitches over 4 innings, gave up 4 runs on 3 hits. He walked 6 and struck out 1. So his ERA goes up from 2.86 to 3.21. Now the question is, can the Mets keep their record intact of winning every game that G has started this year?
A long way to go. Only a 3-run ball game. It's up to the bullpen now to hold the fort.
Fouled off. The last pitcher for whom his team won his first 10 starts of the season was Daisuke Matsuzaka in 2008. The Red Sox won his first 10 starts. The last rookie pitcher to have a longer streak from the start of the year. Last team to have a team win his first 11 starts as a rookie. Whitey Ford, 1950 with the Yankees.
Wow.
They won all 12 of Whitey's starts that year in his rookie season. 2-2 to Matsui, and it's off the plate, and Carrasco goes full with Connor Jackson and Ryan Sweeney to follow in the 5th.
Well, Matsui's always had a very good eye at the plate. Knows a great knowledge of the strike zone. Doesn't swing at very many bad pitches.
And he floats one into shallow left. That'll fall for a hit. So Matsui goes the other way with a soft single. And the A's have the leadoff man onto the 5th. Connor Jackson coming up. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, always interesting to check in with the Mets minor league system. And one of the guys that's really had a terrific year is 21-year-old Jeurys Familia. He's in Double-A Binghamton. Made 6 starts to start the year in St. Lucie. Did very well. And then got bumped up to Double-A where he's made 8 starts. He's got 21 strikeouts and only 4 walks his last 2 starts. He's been just terrific. I talked to a couple of baseball people that have seen him pitch, and the reviews are good. They both think he's got good makeup. His fastball is electric. He's gotten it up to 99 this year. He'll pitch, though, according to those guys, 94, even 95 late in games, which is also very, very impressive. Biggest thing is you hear a lot of these guys that throw hard is developing that second pitch. The one scout told me right now he's got 1.5 pitches. You know, the slider is there at times, changeup is there at times. It's nowhere near consistent. But they also said he is so much more around the plate this year than he ever was. He's made terrific strides. And think about this. Last year was in St. Lucie, really struggled in the first half, had an unbelievable second half. The Mets decided to keep him there this year where he was great. Now up to Double-A and also pitching very, very well. So it's a name to keep your eye on the horizon, guys.
Nope, that's what the minor leagues are for, Kev. You know, you get those guys down there and you develop them and let them pitch and see if they can advance forward and one day get to the big leagues.
Connor Jackson, the batter, walked with the bases loaded his last time up and takes it wide. Also today, the Mets' #1 draft pick from last year, Matt Harvey, who has been dominating in the Florida State League, was finally promoted to Double-A Binghamton, as was outfielder Matt Dendecker, who has had a terrific year for St. Lucie. He also gets bumped up to Double-A. Those are 2 names Met fans will be thinking about over the next couple of years, waiting for their arrival.
Well, I liked Dendecker in the spring. He kind of got my attention. A hustling kid who can run. Left-hand hitter.
And he's hit 6 home runs in the Florida State League, which is not easy to do.
Big ballpark and all that humidity down there. What's he doing with his leg?
Twitching. Jackson pops one up. Back comes Paulino, but he can't get there. Not enough air under that ball for Paulino to get there in time. Joe Morgan used to flap his elbow.
Yes.
That's how Jackson flaps his leg.
It's interesting. Everybody has their own little idiosyncrasies, their little quirks. Some more pronounced.
Jackson was part of that young core of players in Arizona that all came up together. The Chris Youngs and the Carlos Quentins and Stephen Drews. He was the first one they traded away. DJ Carrasco having to work awfully hard to his first 2 hitters. Worked a full count to Matsui and gave up a base hit. Now he's got to throw his 7th pitch to Connor Jackson. And he throws it wide. It's 3-2 again.
Well, let's see if they could put guys in motion here.
Not Matsui.
Well, 3-2 in the hopes that Jackson puts it in play. You know, it's not, you're not putting him in motion to steal a base. You're putting him in motion to stay on a double play. Let's see how they play. I doubt Jackson strikes out too much.
Nope, he's running. And the ball is low for ball 4. So The A's have had base runners galore early in innings. G walked the first 2 in the first. They both scored. He walked the first 2 in the third. They both scored. Now Carrasco gives up a single and a walk to the first 2 hitters in the fifth. That's 7 walks now drawn by the A's. And Ryan Sweeney, the batter. Sweeney lined out to short in the first, then drove in a run with an infield hit in the third. The A's have had only 4 hits, but they lead 4-1 and threatening for more. This is an Oakland team that began the year well. Then they started having a rash of injuries to their pitchers. And their pitchers went through a stretch where they lost 11 straight decisions. And that led to the firing of Bob Guerin and the hiring of Bob Melvin. Melvin didn't get off to a great start himself. He was 1-4 in his first 5 games, but since then they've won 5 in a row. And despite being 7 games under 500 in that rather non-illustrious AL West, they're right in the race. Mets will be going to Texas to play the first place Rangers this weekend.
Well, the Mariners are having a good season.
Foul down the left field side by Sweeney and out of play. You know, you see odd things during interleague play. I look at the scoreboard tonight and I see Seattle playing at Washington. Now, to me, that's confusing. That looks like an address, like there should be a comma in between. Seattle, comma, Washington.
Oh, yes. I see. I always think of Washington as WA. All right. Very good, Garrett.
Toward the gap in right center field. Pagan's not going to get this one. Cuts it off. Now Matsui, for some reason, was tagging up, and he can only go to third. So some really bad base running there by the A's, and that cost them a run, at least for the moment.
Horrible base running. Nobody out. Jeez, that's a ribeye steak right there. You're taking money out of my pocket. Hideki, let's go.
There was no way Pagan was going to catch it. He did well just to cut it off.
Get another cup of coffee. Jeez, wake up.
And he knew he had messed up.
Wow, yes.
So bases loaded, nobody out. Now Kurt Suzuki, as the A's try and break this game completely open. Suzuki has flied to center and popped to first. And he takes off the plate ball 1. He came up with the bases loaded and 1 out in the third and hit an infield pop up. So he's got another chance, this time with the bases loaded and nobody out. So Carrasco having himself a rough start to things. He's given up 2 hits and a walk. And now he's behind on Suzuki, 2-0.
Good pitch to hit. Don't go deep in the count. This is a fastball count right now, and you can spit on anything that's the wicked curveball or changeup. You're going to cover a fastball.
And now it's 3-0. Well, early in the season, Met pitchers were walking the ballpark. For the last month or so, they have done a tremendous job of not walking people. Tonight's been a different story. Oh boy, and there's ball 4, and that forces in a run. Wow. Second bases loaded walk issued by Met pitching tonight. It's 5-1 Oakland. 8 walks in 4 innings plus by Met pitchers.
Wow.
Suzuki drives in just his 16th run of the year, and there's still nobody out.
Well, they can break it open right here.
They have the number 8 hitter Scott Sizemore coming up, and still nobody out. Manny Acosta quickly to work in the Mets bullpen. Sizemore is lined out to left and grounded into a fielder's choice 0 for 2.
Mets playing the infield back. They're conceding a run here.
Mets walked 9 in the game against Washington earlier this year. That was back in early April. Oh, double play ball. Reyes to Tejada and on to first, so they turn 2, but Jackson comes home with the second run of the inning. And it's now 6-1. So no RBI for Sizemore as the Mets turn the double play. And now the pitcher Outman will bat with 2 out and a runner at third. Well, Mets starters lately have been tremendous.
Hit hard, son.
Last 24 games, they've posted a 2.63 ERA, but now this is the third pitcher this time through the rotation. First Dickey, then Neese, and now G, who has lasted only 4 innings. Slowly down to third, and Turner's got time. And throws out Outman, who ran hard to end the inning. But Carrasco gives up a pair in the 5th, and the A's stretch their lead to 6-1 halfway through. To the 5th for New York. It's been a busy day for Jose after the announcement that he will not negotiate a contract during the season. Here's what Jose had to say.
It's not about the money, it's about me to be comfortable, you know. So I don't want to, like I said, any distraction on my mind. I just want to play baseball, you know. So, nothing changed, you know. I want to stay here, like I always say. I want to be a New York man all my career, you know. But right now, I just want to play baseball.
And Jose said that his agent, Peter Greenberg, had said to him even before spring training started that he does not like to negotiate contracts during the season because he doesn't want it to be a distraction to the player. And, you know, for the last 3.5, 4 months since spring training began, Jose has been answering questions on a regular basis about his contract status. And now, at least for the moment, that talk can stop.
Fair enough. I agree 100% with Jose. So you focus right there between the white lines and that pitcher out there with number 88 on his back.
Reyes is 0 for 2 tonight, twice is flied out. And he takes a strike from Outman. Reyes just 2 for 14 over the last 4 games, but what a spectacular year he's had so far. Came into the night leading the National League in batting and in hits and in triples and multiple hit games. Tied for the lead in runs scored.
He's had an incredible 2.5 months, has he not? Well, actually, that would be 11 weeks.
On base percentage higher than it's ever been. .385 starting the night. .02 from Outman, and he lifts another one out to shallow right field. And swinging this time loud enough to call off Weeks, one away.
Yep. Jeez.
So 1 out and nobody on. Justin Turner, the batter. You go back to the series against the Angels over the weekend. Had 7 fly ball outs for Reyes in the last 4 games.
Yep.
And that's usually a sign that he's cooling down a bit.
It's hard to hit at the torrid pace that Jose hit for 6 weeks, let alone he did it for 11. I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that he's going into a slump. He's swinging aggressively, but it's hard to have a season where you hit 300 in every month.
2-0 to Turner, who drove a double to right center his last time up. Carlos Beltran on deck. Back to Outman, who makes a nice stop. Throws out Turner 2 away. Well, we've been checking in on Keith's scorecard all night long, and we'll give another check in a moment. But first, we'll bring you a Toyota text poll. Have you ever kept a scorecard when you attended a baseball game? This is a great question. I'm really interested to see what the answer is. A for yes, B for no. Text 57508 and let us know if you've ever kept a scorecard at a baseball game.
Now, I'll tell you, when my dad taught me how to keep score. And my first games that I went to, which were back in the, shall I dare say, the early, like 1960, 61. But once I did it, I never liked keeping score at a game. I liked to watch the game.
See, I always kept score at every game I went to as a kid. And I wouldn't buy a scorecard. I'd just take loose leaf paper and draw my own lines and bring my little homemade scorecard to the game. And I'd even score games when I was watching on TV. I still have my homemade scorecard from the 25-inning game that you played in 1974 at Shea.
Yes, I remember that. Harry Parker. My pinch hit off Harry.
Driving toward the left field corner. Over comes Matsui, and he makes another nice catch. He doesn't play the outfield all year long, and he's called upon to make 2 running grabs, and he makes them both handily against Reyes in the third, and now against Beltran to give Outman a 1-2-3 fifth. Still 6-1 Oakland. Jamil Weeks leads off the 6th inning against DJ Carrasco. Weeks has walked twice, stolen a base, scored 2 runs, flied out to left his last time up, so he's 0 for 1. It'll be Weeks, Pennington, and Crisp, top 3 in the order for the A's, and they've wreaked some havoc tonight. Congratulations to the Cary High School Seahawks, Class AA Long Island baseball champions. They beat Sachem North in the championship game 5-3, and they're here tonight. Guys from Cary, job well done. Carrasco ahead on Weeks 0-2. Weeks and Pennington, the top 2 in the order between them, have been on base 5 out of 6, and they've scored 4 runs.
And the curveball from Carrasco sitting on the tee, foul back. With Pennington on deck. Two and two now to Weeks. He came out of the University of Miami, #1 draft pick by Oakland in 08. Probably would have been in the big leagues sooner, but he's had all sorts of hip and leg injuries that have held him back. Had a hamstring injury earlier this year in the minor leagues. Finally got the call up 2 weeks ago, and he's started 13 straight games.
He's got his pocket out in his back right side. He's going to tuck that pocket in. Got them both.
Is that a fashion statement?
I think, well, gloves on one.
Well, speaking of fashion statements, you know, Jose Reyes wears that skull cap, like a kind of a do-rag thing under his hat. All of the Met players were wearing them before the game tonight. I don't know how many actually took them into the game. And a couple of them, including Justin Turner, had fake dreadlocks hanging down behind them. I think Tim Burdack had that as well as Willie Harris. Terry Collins, by the way, is responsible for that. He provided those skull caps to everybody just to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. He's had the right touch this year, hasn't he? Another one into left field. On comes Bale off to play this on a hop, and Weeks is on base for the 3rd time. So another leadoff base runner for the A's. And it's 4 times in 6 innings, and the colors have come out on Keith's scorecard.
Yes, and you can see now up here in this corner, this is Carrasco coming in, so I color him. I keep track innings, pitch, hits, runs, blah, blah, blah. And so now I'll know the green matches up to the innings he pitched. So if you have 5 pitchers in a game or 3, they have all their distinct colors. So when I look back, I know who pitched where. It's easier for me to figure out. Just the yellow's for the runs scored, and I use the color of the opposing team of the team. So the Mets are blue.
Oh, I see.
And the A's are yellow.
You put the runs at the top of the scorecard.
Yes.
But you put the hits, errors, and left on base at the bottom.
Yeah, the hits, errors, left on base. And then also I have the frame here. I color, so I know that the A's scored in the 1st, 3rd, and 5th. It's just so when we go on do our post game, I
think that's great. I've never seen that before. That's a nice little touch. Pennington's been on base 3 times in a row. 2 walks and a double. Weeks runs. The throw by Polino skips into center field, and Weeks will have to hold his ground. Stolen base for Weeks, his 2nd of the game and his 4th of the year.
Well, Polino comes high one here. He comes out of his crouch. Not a good throw. He's been throwing terrific, by the way, and that's a rare, not a good throw from him. It's been a rarity. Tough play for Jose, the in-between hop.
Hit sharply by Pennington up the middle, a base hit. Weeks being waved around 3rd. Here comes Pagan's throw to the plate. It's cut off. It's an RBI single for Cliff Pennington. He's been on base 4 times in a row, and the A's pulling away. It's now 7-1. So Carrasco faring little better than G had before him.
Well, this has not been a good outing for Carrasco here. Fastball sinker right up the middle, up, not down, just out of the reach of Tejada. And Pagan knows he has to rush the throw and did not make a good throw, and Murphy correctly cut it off. Weeks runs too well. He scored 3 runs, Weeks.
So the stolen base produces a run. Now Coco Crisp. Crisp had a base hit to drive in the 1st run as Bobby Parnell gets up in the Mets bullpen. Since then, he's had 2 fine defensive plays made against him, and sliding grab by Bay in left field, and then Dylan G sticking out his glove and catching Crisp line drive back to the mound. Down to first, Murphy with the turn and toss. Reyes with the return in time for the 3-6-3 double play. It's the third straight game that the Mets have turned a 3-6-3 double play.
Duda was on one end of that, and now Murph. Nicely done.
Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin has a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Mike Minor started that game for Atlanta tonight. The Braves started the night 4.5 behind the Phillies, who are in St. Louis tonight, and 5 games in front of the Mets. Hideki Matsui, a sacrifice fly, a walk and a single. He's scored 1. He's driven in 1. Batting here with 2 out and nobody on. Carrasco working his second inning behind G, who gave up 4 runs in 4 innings, walking 6. Carrasco has been touched for 3 runs in an inning and 2/3. And he works inside to Matsui, 2-1. Matsui, with his base hit against Carrasco in the 5th, now has 5 hits in 7 career at bats against DJ. And a comebacker to retire the side. But the A's tack on a run and lead it 7-1 in the 6th.
Where'd he tag him? Where'd he tag him? You missed the damn thing.
You can't kick me out for your head.
You know you did. What are you expecting him to slide? Where did he touch you? Right here on the...
That's great stuff. Classic moment from Game 2.
That was Augie Donatelli, correct?
The 1973 World Series. Ray Fosse was the catcher who clearly missed the tag on Bud Harrelson, and there's a great still photo of Willie Mays down on his knees and pleading. Now the Mets won the ball game. They scored 4 runs in the 10th inning. The A's made 5 errors in that game, and the Mets won 10-7. Tug McGraw went 6 innings in relief to get the win. Jerry Kuzma got knocked out early, and George Stone picked up the save. And in that game, Mike Andrews made 2 of the 5 errors. He was the second baseman for the A's, and it was after that game that Charlie Finley tried to fire Mike Andrews in the middle of the World Series.
And the A's were going to refuse to play.
Right, and the commissioner, Bowie Kuhn, said he wasn't allowed to fire him. And I'll never forget, because in it's either Game 3 or Game 4 at Shea Stadium, as Murphy strikes out for the 3rd time.
No, foul tip.
By mistake. So he stays alive. So I think it was Game 4 at Shea Stadium. Andrews came up to pinch hit. And the Met fans gave him a standing ovation. It was a great moment.
It was bad form by Charlie O.
He had a few of those moments. And using modern technology they didn't have then. There's Fosse attempting to tag Buddy.
Oh, he missed him.
I love the line from Buddy. He said, "You can't throw me out for your inadequacies."
Professor Harrelson.
That's a great line.
Dr. Harrelson.
Murphy pops one up. Suzuki should have to play. And now Murphy's retired, one away.
There's Ray.
Ray Fosse working in the A's TV booth alongside Glenn Kuiper. See, I don't think Buddy was ready to take the Pete Rose approach on Fosse.
No.
He didn't need to. He didn't tag him. Pagan fouls one back. Angel with a pop fly to shallow right that Ryan Sweeney and Jameel Weeks miscommunicated on, and Pagan got a double and scored the only Met run in the fourth. Manny Acosta getting ready in the bullpen. Looks like he'll be on the pitch in the seventh. Jason Bay on deck. Josh Outman's retired 6 in a row, working with the big lead now. Hope over 90 pitches for the night. Looking for his third win in 6 big league starts this year. The only run against him tonight unearned after he threw 7 scoreless in his last start. The A's have had tremendous pitching this year. They are #1 in the American League in staff ERA and #1 in starters ERA, even though they've got a whole rotation full of pitchers on the disabled list. Brett Anderson, the talented young lefty, is out. Dallas Braden, who pitched a perfect game last year, is out for the year. Rich Harden, who's always hurt, is out. Brandon McCarthy is out. Tyson Ross is out. And yet they have managed to survive. Now, they went through a stretch of 14 games up until the last week where the starters were 0-11 with a 7.3 ERA. But now they've bounced back these last 5 games and won them all, where the starters are 4-0, 1.10. And now Outman pitching well again tonight as they go for their 6th straight win. 2-2 to Pagan, and the breaking ball hooked down the left field side. Easier play for Matsui this time, and there are 2 out. Hideki, by the way, looking like he never left.
He's patrolling left field pretty good here. That's a big left field.
Nobody knows that better than Jason Bay, who's been aboard twice tonight with a single and a walk. They hits one in the air to deep left field. Back goes Matsui looking up, and it's out of here. Off the facing of the second deck, Jason Bay breaks his extra base hit drought with his 3rd home run. Well, Jason had gone 89 at bats without an extra base hit. It's his 3rd home run of the year to cut the lead to 7-2.
Well, there you go.
Boy, did he need that. His first home run since May the 13th in Houston. Molino cues one down to first base, and Jackson grabs it to end the inning. But Jason Bay gets a hold of one. First pitch, splitter that just stayed right in the middle of the plate. And Bay's 3rd home run cuts the A's lead to 5, 7-2 after 6. Seventh inning, new battery in the game for the Mets as Manny Acosta comes on to pitch.
Well, Manny didn't have such a great outing his last time out. He gave up 2 home runs. I do like his stuff. I think he's a good guy to come in the middle of the game. He's got throws hard. He's developed that split finger. He used to be a one-speed pitcher, hard slider, hard fastball.
Josh Foley in to catch on the double switch. He'll hit 9th. And the pitcher hits 7th. Sorry, feeling it around.
Oh, it's okay. No.
Connor Jackson has walked twice, grounded out, driven in 2, scored 1. The left-hander up in the Oakland bullpen. First Yalie in the big league since
Mr. Darling.
Exactly.
Don't make them like they used to.
Two and 2 now to Jackson with Ryan Sweeney and Kurt Suzuki to follow. DJ Carrasco went 2 innings in relief, allowed 3 runs and 4 hits, 2 walks, no strikeouts. And pitchers have walked 8 tonight. Jackson lifts one out to left, and Bay has it measured. 1 out. Well, the Florida Marlins have a lead tonight. That's a news story. They're playing the Angels tonight after the Angels shut them out behind Jared Weaver last night. 3-0 Florida in the 7th. Jack McKeon managing his second game. His first game was punctuated by his benching of Hanley Ramirez, who was late to McKeon's first meeting.
What is going on?
And so Jack said, "You're late, you sit." Tonight, he put his arm around Hanley Ramirez near the batting cage and said, "You're hitting cleanup." So he's batting cleanup tonight, and the Marlins have the lead.
Hanley has a history of tangling with his managers. Freddie Gonzalez, who's now the manager of the Braves, had a stormy relationship with Hanley when he managed the Marlins. And it's always a kiss and makeup, you know. But it's getting to be a little bit of a pathology there, don't you think, here?
Well, he's hitting 200. I mean, let's not overlook that. So, you know, whatever rights and privileges he might have had as a result of his great talent, they aren't there right now.
No, you cannot. It's all or one, like the Musketeers. You've got to. Everybody's got the same rules.
Toward the hole on a base hit for Sweeney. He's now 3 for 4. On SNY, get on the New York Sports Local and stay on top of all the latest happenings in New York sports with insider info, exclusive interviews, special guests, and heated debate on Daily News Live, Wheelhouse, and Loudmouths, all part of the New York Sports Local, weekdays starting at 5 on SNY. Well, Jack McKeon is in a very unique spot with those Florida Marlins. He's 80 years old.
I know.
He knows that he's not going to be there after this year. He's there to do whatever he needs to do to rattle the cages of those Marlins, who have gone 1-19 in the month of June.
1-19.
Suzuki fouls it back.
Like the Cleveland Spiders. Getting.
Well, I think that I think it's a very interesting decision on the part of the Marlins to bring Jack back. I mean, nobody's expecting him to lead them to the World Series the way he did in 2003 when he replaced Jeff Torborg. But, you know, he's a guy at this point, he doesn't care what the players think of him.
No.
And he'll do whatever is necessary. He won't remember their names necessarily. But
Jack's as sharp as a tack, though. You know that.
Yeah, but he'll always call people by the wrong names, sometimes on purpose.
Trader Jack.
The second oldest manager now in Major League history. Only Connie Mack was older. He managed till he was 87, but he owned the team. So, you know, he was able to keep himself in that slot for a long time with the A's. 50 years Connie Mack managed the A's.
Wow.
And it was he who put the white elephant on the uniform of the A's, because when the American League started in 1901, John McGraw, who had gone from the American League to the National League to manage the Giants, called the A's a white elephant. And Connie Mack embraced that as a nickname. The elephant more green than white on the sleeve there. There was a time in the 19 teens when they had the elephant as the symbol rather than the A's on the front. It was a blue elephant that was on the front of their jerseys. Suzuki pops it up near home plate. Goalie just into the game. Makes the grab for the second out. Connie Mack had great talent and broke up his team twice after winning championships in the teens and again in the 30s. And then finally, after his run was done, the team was moved to Kansas City for 13 years, and then Charlie Finley bought them and moved them to Oakland.
And that great 31 A's team with Al Simmons and Mickey Cochran, Jimmy Dykes at third base, Urban Shocker, one of their starters, and Lefty Grove. I think Lefty won 31 games that year, if I remember correctly, and like lost 5.
That's a pretty good year. Scott Sizemore takes a strike. He's 0 for 3 tonight.
Jimmy Fox was part of that team.
Eric Barton on deck to pinch hit, regular first baseman for the A's. And Fox, of course, was part of the team they broke up. They traded him to the Red Sox, where he had a great second career. But Connie Mack always had money woes and had trouble keeping his team together. Craig Breslow continuing to stay ready in the Oakland bullpen. Looks like he might be on a pitch in the bottom of the 7th. Outman's throwing 98 pitches. Now the 0-2, and Sizemore punches one, and there's Tejada to grab it, and that ends the inning. 1 hit and 1 left for Acosta. 7th inning stretch with the Mets down 7-2. Rangers 4 tonight. Brian McCann's 2-run homer helps the Braves. They're in front of the Blue Jays 5-1 in the bottom of the 8th. Gabby Sanchez a home run. The Marlins trying to snap that 11-game losing streak, up 3-0 in the bottom of the 7th over the Angels. And the Phillies and the Pujols-less Cardinals scoreless in the bottom of the 5th. Roy Halladay on the mound for the Phils tonight, as Craig Breslow takes over the pitching for the A's in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, Breslow has a good move. 3 pickoffs this year, but he's starting an inning here, and he's faced the Mets only once in his career. That was back in 2005. See, the left-handers are kind of touching him up. My goodness, that's Ted Williams territory.
Breslow started out his career in San Diego in 05, then went to Boston, Cleveland, Minnesota, and now in his 3rd year with Oakland. As Ruben Tejada leads off in the home seventh. Tejada drove in the first Met run with a short sacrifice fly in the fourth. So Josh Outman went 6 innings through 98 pitches, allowed 4 hits, 2 runs, only 1 of them earned. Walked 2, struck out 4, and gave up the Jason Bay home run. Josh Tolley's hitting 9th in the order. He's on deck. And the fastball on the outside edge. It's 1-1 to Tejada. Craig Breslow, as we mentioned, the first Yaley to reach the big league since Rod Darling, who was the first Yaley to reach the big league since Ken McKenzie, who was Ronnie's college coach and pitched for the Mets in their first 2 seasons. In fact, Ken McKenzie on the 62 Mets had the distinction of being the only Met with a winning record.
Right.
When you're 40 and 120 and you have a winning record, it's pretty amazing.
Who was the French Canadian that pitched on that team?
Ray Davia?
Yes, that's right. He was on 62, correct?
I think he was. All 3 to Tejada. By the way, Craig Breslow at Yale majored in molecular biophysics and biochemistry. I know that's right up my alley.
Look what it got him. Whew. Look what it got him. All that education. He's a baseball player.
Got him a glove. And a place to stand on the mound. By the way, Ken McKenzie not only had a winning record for the Mets in '62, he was 5-4. He was 3-1 in 1963. That earns you a career as a college coach. 3-2 to Tejada, and he walked him. So Breslow walks the first man he faces. Time to check in with Kevin, whose report is brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. Kevin?
I talked to Terry Collins today, Gary, and I asked him, you know, are you anxious to see exactly how Tejada handles this little rut that he's in? Very demonstrative. He said, no question. This is what the development side of our game is all about, because you're going to go through more than one slump a year. How you handle yourself, how you go about it. And I said, what about the demeanor side of it? He said, well, that's we are certainly watching that a lot. You know, he said, you know, there have been a couple of instances actually with Tejada where he's gotten a couple of tough calls, and you know, I see him kind of rolling the eyes a little bit, and that's got to stop. And I tell him that, because if I can see that, the man calling the balls and strikes can see that. So he's got to go up there, take the at bat, and get in and out of the box. So little things that Terry sees, making sure that Tejada, you know, stays on the right path. Guys,
it's a process, isn't it?
Yeah, you're young, you get down on yourself, and you know, you're trying to get your feet wet and feel like you belong. It's difficult, but you know, become a veteran. Then I played with veterans that didn't handle stuff well.
Totally getting a rare at bat against the lefty, and he lifts one down the left field line. Matsui steadying near the sidewall and makes another fine play. He hadn't started a game in the outfield since last July, and he looks like he's been out there every day.
Well, he gets to the wall quick. That's the key.
Your Home Depot doing more on defense. That's not an easy play for a corner outfielder.
No, anytime you got to negotiate the wall.
.37 years old, bad knees and all.
Oh, that kid made a nice effort. Almost had it.
Need the glove.
Bartman, whatever his name is.
Bartman Jr. Well, Reyes has hit the ball in the air all 3 times tonight. I'm glad for the kid he didn't come near it. You'd be on him all night. Tejada at first and 1 out, and Reyes chops one. Weeks comes in, makes the tag, and can't make the toss. So to get Tejada for the 2nd out, and Reyes is aboard.
Well, the Weeks does the right thing here, cuts him off. Ruben, not much you can do there. You can knock him down, big deal. But Reyes, it's enough where he stopped that you have no chance of doubling up Reyes.
So now Justin Turner bats with 2 out and Reyes at first. So Reyes 0 for 4 tonight. Now 2 for 16 in these last 4 games. Turner's 1 for 3 tonight. Doubled to right center with 2 out in the 3rd. Tim Burdack up in the Mets bullpen after Manny Acosta worked a successful 7th. And Turner slices one foul. By the way, in that game in Florida, we mentioned the Marlins are up 3-0 in the 7th. The Angels have 10 hits. 10 hits in 7 innings. They've been shut out.
It happens.
That's hard to do, though.
That was always the AP Wire story. You know, when we were a kid growing up. Sandy Koufax scattered 10 hits on his way to his 13th victory in a 3-1 Dodger victory.
Well, what's the limit of hits that you can give up where you can still say scattered? I remember George Stone threw a 13-hit shutout against Montreal.
Well, that's scattering hits.
No. You can't scatter 13 hits because it'd have to be 2 in at least 4 innings.
Maybe you threw double plays. You have to, right?
He was scattering them like Johnny Appleseed. A little thick.
You remember those line scores, those AP Wire stories, right?
Of course. The reason that you don't see those anymore is because there are so few complete game shutouts. There's nobody to scatter hits anymore.
Exactly.
If you give up that many hits, you're not throwing a complete game. Now it's 3-1 to Turner with Beltran on deck. The Mets can get Turner on and Beltran get it a long way. All of a sudden they'd be back in this game. By the way, Javier Vasquez was the starter for the Marlins tonight. He's been awful, but he shut him out for 5 1/3, giving up those 10 hits.
So we'd say he's living in a tree.
He'll fall out of the tree. And Turner lifts one out to right field. Easy for Ryan Sweeney. And the side retired. So the Mets can't convert a leadoff walk, and we're through 7 at Citi Field with the A's up 7-2. Is brought to you by AT NYN. Rethink possible. By Cholula Hot Sauce. Want the perfect balance of flavor and heat? Add Cholula Hot Sauce to your next meal. Just look for the iconic wooden cap. And by Dunkin' Donuts. To get dunked, go to www.getdunked.com. That's some cap. Now it's iconic. Voting is open for the 2011 All-Star Game in Phoenix. Help send your favorite Mets to this year's All-Star Game by voting up to 25 times at Mets.com. Cast your ballot now for your 2011 All-Stars. Vote often, vote today, vote Mets at Mets.com. Tim Burdack on to pitch for the Mets in the 8th inning.
Well, if you recall, in April, he was kind of a lost man out there in that bullpen. But look at him now, 30 appearances. You see only the 17 2/3, so he's really a left-handed specialist.
He's had a few days off, hasn't pitched since last Thursday in Atlanta. Derek Barton pinch hitting, first man up against him. And he hits one out to left where Jason Bay waits. 1 out. So Barton, the guy who usually waits out deep counts, swings at the first one, and there's the latest on Keith's scorecard.
Okay, and I also, when the manager makes changes, I put everything's in pencil, but all the substitutions I put in ink.
Why is that?
Just so I know they're substitutions. They stick out. And a pinch hit right here, Barton. I'll put Barton's name with PH right next to him, so I know this is his at bat. Little things like that. You know how it goes.
I understand. You're just trying to be able to recreate the game by looking at your scorecard. That, after all, is the whole point.
And DJ Carrasco, the green, is the 2 innings that he worked, and the orange is the inning that Manny Acosta worked. And now I opted on purple haze.
Now, why did you highlight the 6 walks for G?
Because that's significant. You know, it's just something that I'll look at that and know that G didn't have it. He was, if he gave up 6, if he gave up 4 hits, it can be also something outstanding. 7 innings, if it was a 1-hitter, I'll highlight the 1, so.
Something that stands out.
Right.
Jamil Weeks has been on base 3 times, 2 walks and a single, 2 steals, and 3 runs scored for the rookie. 2-2 to Weeks.
Garrett, you keep your scorecards. I do twice through the rotation, so I can see with Pelfrey I'll have his last 2 starts and then he can go back. You keep the whole shebang.
I do. Got by the end of the season I got 162 scorecards,
and
Weeks strikes out for the 2nd out of the inning.
You always bring, if you got the one team, you bring all the games they played, right?
Well, I've got everything. I mean, I will keep on the table in front of me as you do the last time through the rotation, because that way you can look back on what's happened over the last few days and the relief pitchers, what they've done lately, etc. But what I like in terms of having the whole season in my bag is, say, a Mets facing a pitcher for the 2nd or 3rd time, I can look back not only at his line but what actually happened in that game.
Right. Well, I learned that from you, keeping the scorecards. There's Jason getting up.
Burnett facing Pennington, who's been on base 4 times in a row, 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 runs scored, 1 run driven in. And he pops this one up in foul ground. Turner hoping he has enough room. And ouch. That railing hard.
That's a rib shot. That hurts. It hurts.
Didn't quite know it was coming up on.
Even though it's padded, it hurts. Ooh.
See, the kid said, "Oh, nice try."
Yep. It's so passionate. Oh, so compassionate. I thought he said, "Are you okay?"
Hope the kid got the ball. Now Burnack ahead 0-2, and Pennington fouls it back. Now let's check out the response to our Toyota text poll, and this surprises me. Nearly 3/4 of our respondents say that they have kept a scorecard at a baseball game. It's nice to see that the tradition lives on. Thanks for participating. That's our fans,
I understand.
They're real fans. There's somebody keeping a book.
That's a World Series ring.
Yeah. Can you tell what year it's from?
No.
A blue team. Swing and a foul tip held by Tolley. So it's a 1-2-3 inning for Burnack with a couple of strikeouts. To the bottom of the 8th, Belt trying to lead off. Mets down by 5. Brian Fuentes, the veteran left-hander, takes over for the A's as we go to the bottom of the 8th.
And you see his saves there. He filled in for the injured Andrew Bailey, who's back off the DL, and I obviously did a pretty good job. Former Colorado Rocky. Well, he's bounced around.
4-time All-Star, and it was Fuentes who helped, maybe not, wasn't his intention, but helped precipitate the downfall of Bob Guerin as the Oakland manager. Carlos Beltran leads off in the bottom of the 8th, 0 for 2 and a walk. It was while Fuentes was filling in as the closer that he openly questioned Guerin's use of the bullpen and his communication skills or lack thereof. And it became really an open sore for this Oakland team. And in fact, it became so pronounced that even Houston Street, who hasn't played for the A's in a few years, checked in from Colorado and was quoted as saying that Guerin was the worst person he had ever met in baseball.
Really?
Yeah. So,
goodness.
Beltran pulls one down to third, and Sizemore's got it. 1 out. So, you know, a lot of it was very harsh, and what made it difficult for Billy Beane, the general manager of the A's, is that Bob Guerin is his best friend. And, you know, it's hard to fire your best friend. But Billy finally made the move a week and a half ago, and the A's have been playing a little better since. Here's Murphy, who's 0 for 3, struck out twice and fouled out. Nothing but left-handers for the A's tonight for Murphy to contend with. The starter Josh Outman went 6 innings, allowed 2 runs, 1 earned on 4 hits.
And Murph has not had a good night at the plate. He looks like he's not picking up the ball off the left-handers.
Now just 3 for his last 28. So after he's getting his batting average up over 300, Murph's at 281 now. Braves won tonight. They beat Toronto 5-1 behind Mike Minor, who went 7 innings, allowed just 5 hits. So Atlanta trying to push toward Philadelphia. The Phils down 1-0 in St. Louis late. What do you think the Cardinals are going to hold up under the latest blow?
They are just really mash unit over there. I mean, it's going to be tough boots to fill, obviously.
I mean, you can replace a lot of people. I don't know how you replace Albert Pujols, even if he wasn't having his best year. They'll move Lance Berkman to first base, but that's a huge hole in the middle of their lineup. And yet, with all they've had happen, and going all the way back to losing Adam Wainwright in spring training, they're in first place.
6 weeks at least. It's a long time to be without your star, huh?
Well, the Cardinals are here right after the All-Star break, so unless he's back on the short end of that 4 to 6 weeks, Mets will miss him. Murphy hits it out to right center field. A long one for Sweeney, and he reaches out and makes a terrific catch. Beautiful play by Ryan Sweeney to rob Murphy of an extra base hit.
Well, long way to run, and he makes a nice play.
So 2 out and nobody on, and now Angel Pagan. We hit a ball that Sweeney and Weeks miscommunicated on in the 4th. They went for a double and produced the first Met run. Pagan is 1 for 3. Mets have had just 4 hits tonight. On Sunday against the Angels, they only had 4 hits for the first 8 innings and were down 7-0 before they scored 3 in the 9th to make it a little more respectable. Bobby Parnell getting ready to pitch the top of the 9th. So after an incredibly long run where the Mets were at least in every game, I mean, they let some difficult games get away late. Certainly the last game in Atlanta was an example of that. Now all of a sudden they've had a couple of games in a row where the score has been lopsided against them.
Season of ebbs and flows. And, you know, they had a hot streak and they've kind of chilled here a little bit.
But this next stretch, especially leading to the All-Star break,
it's critical.
Is not only critical to their ability to stay in the race, but also is going to say a lot toward what Sandy Alderson does in terms of buying or selling at the trading deadline or the weeks leading up to it. I mean, this is a very difficult stretch of games. After they get done with Oakland, they go to Texas and Detroit, two very good teams. They come home to play the Yankees, then they go out to California to play the Dodgers and the Giants, and that leads them to the All-Star break. There's ball 4 to Pagan. And you know, the Mets have been playing an incredibly interesting, hard-nosed brand of baseball, but it all is dependent on getting good starting pitching. And now all of a sudden, this last time through the rotation, it hasn't been quite as sharp.
Well, you just got to hope that it's just one little hitch in the road, you know, and they'll pick it up after. But clearly, the starting pitching has carried this team, as well as the hitting.
Jason Bay hits another one well out to center field. Back goes Crisp onto the warning track at the wall. He can't catch it. Keeps it in play. Pagan scores. Bay goes to third. He's in with a triple. And now it's 7-3. Jason Bay barely missing his second home run of the game. Coco Crisp barely missed catching it.
Well, that's 2 back-to-back. Nice effort by Crisp.
Just close glove too soon, it looked like.
Yep.
But if he doesn't touch it, it's probably a home run.
It doesn't hit his glove, it's a home run. And that's what Terry's going to moan about.
Well, what he wants to know, is it possible that that ball at some point hit the back wall and then came back in play? Because if it goes over the orange line and hits above the orange line against that wall, then it's a home run.
But we saw clearly that it hit his glove.
So Jason Bay has had himself a big night, a single, a walk, a home run, and now a triple. And they're going to go and review this one on video just to make sure that it's not a 2-run home.
Well, here it is again. And that's a tough call.
I mean, when it went up in the air off his glove, did it strike above the orange line? You can't tell really from this angle, I don't think. When it goes off the glove and up in the air, and then what happens?
Here's a better shot right here. Well, let me tell you, you got an argument, don't you?
It's hard to tell, isn't it? It hit the glove, and then it goes up. And when it goes up, where does it go?
Nope.
Does it strike the wall above the line, or does it just strike the glove?
I think it just struck the glove.
Here, keep it going now. As it goes up, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. At any point up there, did it hit the wall? Did it change rotation? I don't think so.
And it has to be conclusive, so I believe it's going to be a 3-bagger. And
I mean, the only way that you would say that it might have is if that ball somehow changed rotation after nicking the wall.
Well, maybe this man will get hotter than a firecracker, huh?
Well, that would certainly help.
He's a man that's whole career, we're talking about Jason Bay, of course, that is a streak hitter. And when he's red hot, can't get him out. Oh, that is got a smile on his face. He'll have a good night's sleep tonight.
3 for 3 and a walk tonight with a single, a triple, and a home run. His first triple of the season. And waiting for the umpires to return after the video review. And they'll want to get every angle on this just to make sure that it wasn't a 2-run homer.
Well, Terry's hopeful because it would like to have Jason Bay to go home with a 2-home run night.
You know, it's funny. Last year, Bay hit 6 home runs all year. He had 2 2-home run games. Remember, one of those was against CC Sabathia.
You're right.
So his home runs as a Met, few as they've been, have often come in pairs. He's only hit 8 home runs as a Met. Well, this will serve to make the pitcher Brian Fuentes stand around and wait. He's throwing in some warm-up tosses to try and stay busy. Willie Harris is going to be the pinch hitter, batting for the pitcher who's in the 7-hole. The Mets already used their only right-handed bat off the bench, Scott Harrison, earlier in the game. So Harris is going to bat for Burdack after the umpires come back and make their decision. So Fuentes retired the first 2 hitters, got help on a terrific play by Ryan Sweeney to get Murphy. That play looks very big right now because he then walked Pagan and gave up that long, what is being called a triple at the moment, to Jason Bay. And this is a particularly long review delay as the umpires try and use the video that we have, and they'll also see the video from the Oakland broadcast to try and determine for certain what the disposition of this play will be. When they first started introducing video review to decide what they call boundary calls, home run calls, the Mets had a great run of success. Remember 2 years ago, the Omir Santos home run in Boston and the Daniel Murphy home run off the subway sign here. They had like 5 in a row that all went their way.
No, are they coming?
It's like they're holding the gate open for the umpires. And here they come. And they're going to say it's a triple. So they confirm the call on the field, as we suspected that they would based on what we saw. And so Terry Collins did exactly what he should have done, just see if he could get the call overturned. 3 minutes and 55 seconds. That's one of the longer video reviews we've seen. So now it's 7-3. Willie Harris comes up with a runner at 3rd and 2 out at the bottom of the 8th. Willie pinch hit on Sunday and flied out. That was his only at bat of the series against the Angels. He has not had a lot of success as a pinch hitter this year. And now he'll take on Fuentes, lefty against lefty. And Willie lays off, and it's ball 1.
And with Harrison the only right-hander on the bench for the Mets in this game, overload due to Tolley, Harris, and Priddy, all left-hand hitters.
Harris has only had 12 at bats against lefties, but he's 4 for 12, so he's hitting .333 against lefties. And you know, Fuentes is not one of those guys who's always dominated left-hand hitters because he's more of a changeup artist. Grant Balfour, who's been terrific for the A's, is up in the bullpen. The former Tampa Bay Ray. Ruben Tejada on deck. Fuentes, a 4-time All-Star in his days with the Rockies.
He's one of those shovers. You got that funky delivery, short arms it and kind of shoves. It's very deceptive to a hitter.
Head on Harris, 1 and 2. And Willie takes it just off the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. .35-year-old Brian Fuentes. Inside, and he hits Harris. And Willie will take that. 72 miles an hour, change up in the back. So the Mets now with 1st and 3rd and 2 out, with Tejada coming up.
Just got away from him. He tried to turn it over, and he did turn it over. He turned it over right into his tricep.
Bob Melvin's on his way out to the mound, and he's going to bring in the right-hander, Balfour. The Mets still have left-hand hitting on the bench with Priddy and Duda. We'll see what they do here. The call from the bullpen brought to you by Lincoln. 7-3 Oakland, with the Mets trying to fight back. All that you could ask for. The second night of summer tomorrow night, and we'll have the game for you. The Mets and A's. R.A. Dickey against Gio Gonzalez. 6:30 the coverage tomorrow night right here on SNY. The high-strung Australian right-hander Grant Balfour comes in to try and finish off the 8th inning.
Well, having a terrific season. You see the numbers in 32 games. That is outstanding stuff. The strikeouts are 1 per inning. The walks are down. Left-handers having difficulty. Everybody having trouble.
Jason Bay is at third. Willie Harris after being hit by pitches at first, and now Lucas Duda will bat for Ruben Tejada. So the Mets will probably leave Duda in at first base, move Murphy, or play Harris at second. See how that works out. In any event, Duda with a chance to do some damage here. The Mets have a run home in the 8th, down 7-3.
Well, this is a pinch hit right here where you really got to sacrifice yourself. You need maybe 1 pitch, try to get something middle in and make it a 7-6 ball game with 1 swing.
And Lucas takes low and inside for ball 1. Duda pinch hit in the game on Sunday and flied out, and a pinch hit single in Friday night's game. That was his weekend's work. Balfour spent the last 4 years in Tampa Bay, including pitching for them in the World Series in 2008. Very effectively against the Phillies. And now he falls behind Duda 2-0. Josh Tolley sitting in the 9th spot on the order. He's on deck. Duda batting for Tejada. 3 for 8 as a pinch hitter this year. And he takes a strike, 2-1. Ryan Fuentes went 2/3 of an inning, retired his first 2 hitters, but then a walk, a triple, and a hit batsman, putting him in trouble, leading to Balfour. Mets have just 5 hits tonight. And there's a strike to Duda, 94 miles an hour. It's 2-2. Well, Lucas done watching. Time to swing. Two. Foul back. You get to the ballpark at 1 o'clock. You go to the cage. You work out. You go to the cage again. You stretch. You go to the cage some more. All getting ready for that 1 chance in a late inning situation. And now it's 3-2.
It's awful early to get to the park.
That's when they get here these days.
I'll have none of it.
Harris will be running now with 3-2 and 2 out. I'm sure you won't. First baseman Jackson playing behind Harris now. 3-2 to Duda. And he walked him, and the bases are loaded, and that'll get the tying run of the plate. So Duda works out the walk against Balfour. And now the Mets in a great position with Tolley coming up. Now Josh hasn't hit a home run this year, and the Mets haven't hit a grand slam in almost 2 years. But maybe fates collide. Day at third, Harris at second, Duda at first. 2 out.
And all this started with 2 outs.
Walk to Pagan, triple by Bay, which held up on video review. Harris hit by the pitch. Balfour comes in, walks Duda, bases loaded. And now Tolley, his second at bat, and a foul fly to left that Matsui made a nice play on in the 7th. Came in on the double switch. Bases loaded, 2 out. And Tolley takes on the inside corner a strike.
Boy, oh boy. Some serious. He's throwing some hard gas up there. Wants it away, and he comes over on the other side of the plate.
Oh, and a lot of life. Balfour is out there talking to himself constantly on the mound. Tolley slices one foul, and it's 0-2. is talking all the time and only talking to himself. And, you know, conversation that, well, you don't want to really read his lips if you're sensitive. Doesn't like the baseball he's getting from Adrian Johnson.
So he's tough on himself. That's what that says.
Plays him in a constant state of being psyched up. Oh, and 2 to Tolley. And Josh takes it low. Well, the Mets would love to get Reyes to the plate in this inning. Now force 1-2, and Tolley lines one the other way toward the line. Foul. Nice catch, by the way. But a foul ball. That's some very talented ball boys. Bay, Harris, and due to the base runners with 2 down, ready to run on the crack of the bat.
If he's going to throw anything off speed, it better be in the dirt, because Josh is having a hard time getting the barrel out. He's going to throw something soft, and it's going to give him a chance to catch up to it.
To second base where Weeks has got it, and the side retired. So the Mets got a run, but left them loaded. And now we go to the ninth. Jason Bay having a big day, though. A single, a walk, a home run, and almost another. Coco Crisp keeps it in the yard. A triple for Bay. A big night for him, but the Mets got 7-3 going to the ninth.
Who's coming? As we go to the ninth inning, Lucas Duda stays in the game at first base. Justin Turner moves from third base to second base, and Daniel Murphy moves from first base to third base. Bobby Parnell on the mound for the ninth inning. Coco Crisp leads off for Oakland. 7-3 the Athletics lead. And Crisp takes the fastball wide for ball one. Well, we know about Bobby's arm. He throws awful hard, and he's just in and out. He looks like a world beater one time, and then he struggles another. So just looking for consistency.
Last outing was Friday night against the Angels. He worked 2 innings, allowed a run on 2 hits. Crisp 1 for 4 tonight. A couple of nice defensive plays made against him. Parnell gets a strike. Net pitchers have walked 8 tonight. K-Rod up in the Mets bullpen. Frankie has not worked since Thursday in Atlanta when he gave up the game-tying home run to Brooks Conrad. Popped up. Turner goes out to call. Crisp retired, 1 away. Let's check in with Gary Apple, see what's coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night. Gary?
Gary, thank you so much. Mike, the Jets and Giants be on their way back to work in the near future. The latest on the lockout. Pat Riley addresses the possibility of coaching the Heat again. See you tonight.
All right, Gary, we'll look forward to that later on. Right now, Hideki Matsui bats with 1 out in the 9th inning. Matsui 1 for 2. He's scored a run. He's driven in a run. And Parnell misses up and away for ball 1. Yeah, it looks like the Marlins might do it tonight. They're up 5-0 now on the Angels going into the 9th inning. Remember the longest losing streak you endured as a player?
No.
Did it ever get to double digits that you remember?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think so. Early Cardinal days when there was a transition from that 60s team when McCarver left and Gibson retired. There was some lean years that eventually got Red fired. Red Shandy is my first manager.
Want to hear about a hot team?
Yes.
Washington Nationals were down 5-1 going to the bottom of the 9th. They scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th. Wilson Ramos, a 3-run walk-off home run. They beat Seattle 6-5. That's a big wow right there. So if the Mets don't rally, they'll fall behind the Nats again in the standings. Washington is now just 1 game under 500. Just had an 8-game winning streak and a couple of days ago. Two to Matsui, and he fouls back. Connor Jackson on deck for the A's. They finally settle on the slider, and maybe not. Totally goes out for a conversation. So that gives us a chance to answer our AT&T trivia question. We asked you which 3 Met rookie starters made the All-Star game. Seaver, Gooden, and Kuzman. Of course, Kuzman lost the Rookie of the Year in 1968 to Johnny Bench. At the time, there were 20 votes, 2 for each National League city. One guy split his vote. Bench got 10.5 points. Kuzman got 9.5. And he lost by that margin.
Wow.
Seaver had won the Rookie of the Year before.
How many did Kuzman win that year?
He won, what, 16 as a rookie? 17? To check. 3-2 to Matsui. And he takes outside ball 4. So Parnell loses Matsui to a walk. He's on base for the 3rd time.
It's the 9th walk by Met pitching tonight.
Now you would think, despite the fact that Matsui's had a fine night in the field, that they would pinch run for him and bring somebody on for defense in the bottom of the 9th. Since it's Matsui's first game in the outfield this year, but it doesn't look like Bob Melvin's going in that direction. He's got David DeJesus, who's a pretty good outfielder, sitting on the bench, and a local kid to boot. DeJesus from Manalapan High School and Rutgers. And a fastball strike to Connor Jackson, 0-1. Jackson tonight, he's walked twice, scored a run, driven in 2. Kuzman was 19-12 as a rookie in '68 with a 2.08 ERA. And that's not good enough to win Rookie of the Year.
Wow. What did Bench do?
Yeah, that Bench guy was pretty good.
Here's a blazing fastball inside. No chance. Look at it. Just tied him up.
Now Tolley moving away, and Jackson fouls back the 99-mile-an-hour fastball. Ryan Sweeney, who's had a good night, waiting on deck. Mets have used 5 pitchers tonight. Dylan G is on the hook. He went 4 innings, walked 6, allowed 4 runs, 3 hits. DJ Carrasco 2 innings, 3 runs, 4 hits. Manny Acosta and Tim Burdack each a scoreless inning. And now Parnell working the ninth. Ball and 2 strikes to Connor Jackson. Johnny Bench in 1968 at 275, 15 homers, 82 RBIs. I'll look at those numbers next to Koosman. On the surface, you'd say Koosman had a better year. But here's the caveat. That was the year of the pitcher. A lot of guys had great numbers on the mound in 68. 15 homers, 82 RBIs for a rookie must have looked awfully good to the voters.
1912 looks pretty good, and that ERA looks pretty good to me.
But, you know, there were a ton of guys with ERAs under 2.5 that year. Remember the year Bob Bolin had in 1968 that nobody talks about for the Giants? I think his ERA was about 1.6.
Bob Bolin threw hard.
I mean, everybody remembers Bob Gibson and the 1.12 and the 13 shutouts. But, you know, there were a lot of guys with incredible numbers that year. Louis Tiant for the Indians that season had a fantastic year. Denny McClain won 31 games for the Tigers that year.
Lolich was the World Series hero. Nicky Lolich
won 3 games. Hit sharply and another base hit. Connor Jackson with his first hit of the night. So the A's have 2 men on in the ninth. Boy, they've had tons of base runners tonight. 9 hits and 9 walks. That's 18. See how I did that?
Yes.
There's Ryan Sweeney, who has 3 of those hits. He drove in a run with an infield hit in the 3rd. The A's got 2 in the first, 2 in the 3rd off Dylan G. And all 4 runs that scored got aboard via the walk. Just a very strange night for G, who had no command of his changeup. So unless the Mets have themselves a big rally in store in the bottom of the ninth, they will lose for the first time this season in Dylan G start. Mets will have the top of the batting order coming up in the ninth with Reyes to get it started.
Well, more importantly, they will lose a game on the Braves in the wild card. I know there's a good strike right there. I know we're not even at the All-Star break yet, but it'll push them 6 games behind the Braves. And 3 games under 500. One more at bat.
0-2 to Sweeney. He lofts this into shallow right. On comes Beltran to play it on a hop. And he throws to second, but too late for the force, and the bases are loaded. Off the bat, it looked like a catchable ball, but Beltran didn't get there. So the bases loaded with 1 out. That's 10 hits now for the A's and a 4-hit night for Ryan Sweeney. And now Kurt Suzuki comes up. Well, this is the 3rd time tonight that Suzuki has batted with the bases loaded and less than 2 out. He batted with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 3rd, and he popped up. Batted with the bases loaded and nobody out in the 5th, and walked to force in a run. And now he's batting with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 9th. That's a lot of ducks on a lot of ponds. Ball 1. Kurt Suzuki, the 4th Hawaiian-born player in A's history. You know one of the other 3 was? Ron Darling.
Oh, that's right.
We managed to work Ronnie in on 2 different references. Ronnie pitched for the A's in 91 through 95. Parnell behind 2-0 and now 3-0. Well, Mets have already forced in 2 runs via the walk tonight. It's kind of been the theme. G walked Jackson with the bases loaded in the 3rd. Carrasco walked Suzuki with the bases loaded in the 5th. Brad Ziegler up in the bullpen for the A's.
And there's no one up in the Met bullpen.
So Parnell takes it upon himself to throw a strike. Matsui, Jackson, and Sweeney the base runners. Chopper. Will they turn two? Reyes with the step and the fire. He gets inside, retired. Nicely done by Reyes. 6-6-3 double play to help Parnell out of a jam. We go to the bottom of the ninth, 7-3. Here's how they'll stack up tomorrow. Your city probables. R.A. Dickey trying to bounce back from a subpar performance his last time out against the Braves. Will go up against Gio Gonzalez, the lefty, who has had a terrific year for Oakland. That's the second game of the series tomorrow night. That's at the top of the batting order, up bottom of the ninth, down 7-3. Reyes has gone 0 for 4 tonight. Brad Balfour, who finished off the 8th inning, will start the ninth. Reyes, Turner, and Beltran due up. As the Mets try to avoid losing for the 4th time in their last 5 games. And ball 1 to Reyes. In Cleveland tonight, Seth Smith hit 2 home runs, including a tie-breaking shot in the 9th inning. And Colorado beat Cleveland 4-3. There's a strike, 1-1 to Reyes. Such an up and down year for the Rockies. Started out so hot, then got so cold. Now they're back over 500 again with that win tonight. Started the night only 3 games behind the Giants, who just got swept by these A's. And Reyes hits another ball up in the air. And from left field comes Matsui. He's handled it perfectly tonight, 1 away. Matsui's first game in the outfield this season. He's had 5 chances. Several of them have been high degrees of difficulty, and he's done just fine. So 1 out. Here's Justin Turner. By the way, we were talking about 1968, the year of the pitcher. That year, there were 20 pitchers combined, the 2 leagues, who had ERAs under 2.45 among qualifiers. That's when they decided the next year to lower the mound from 15 inches to 10 inches.
Right.
I can't even imagine what a 15-inch mound would look like. How those pitchers would just provide such a downhill plane for that ball coming to the plate.
Really drive off that rubber. You can get hurt in the old Astrodome. The old Astrodome mound, it was like a cliff on the backside. of it, and you can stand on it and you can fall off. I mean, it was just that. It was just so peculiar. Dodger Stadium was the same way,
like a precipice in the back.
Yep. Yes. Escarpment.
Very nice. I like that word. Sounds almost like a snail. How that does escargot. There's a strike to Turner, and it's 3-2. Louis Tiant that year had a 1.60 ERA for the Indians. Foul tip, and that's held by Suzuki. Turner down on strikes, 2 away. The top 4 in the National League: Gibson 1.12, Nolan 1.99, Bob Field 2.05, and then Kuzman finished 4th. Here's your post-game live coming up. Lincoln post-game live right after the game. Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda will have all the highlights. Take you inside the clubhouse. Terry Collins post-game address as well. All coming up right after we're done here. Here's Beltran, who's 0 for 3 and a walk with the Mets down to their final out. By the way, Seaver finished 7th that year in ERA 2.20 in his second big league season. And the Mets were, remember, a 9th place team in 1968.
And they had 2 pitchers like that.
Yep. And then next year they had Gary Gentry. They already had Nolan Ryan. He was just trying to figure it out. And Beltran down on strikes, and that ends it. Grant Balfour finishes off with a 1-2-3 ninth, couple of strikeouts, and the A's take the opener of this series on an off night for Dylan G. As Oakland scores early and often, takes advantage of a handful of walks, and wins it 7-3.
Well, both clubs left 10 men on base, and G just did not have it. Dylan came into this game undefeated, and Bob Melvin there. That's 6 in a row for the A's now. G uncharacteristic, whatever.
He doesn't usually do that.
Yeah, right. 6 walks in 4 innings.
Head pitchers walked 9 in the ninth. The only saving grace was the game for Jason Bay, 3 for 3 with a triple and a home run as you look at the New York Community Bank game summary. Back with more from Citi Field in just a moment.